Yeah, Danny, we're talking about EVOS, we're talking about RRQ, and RRQ kind of called themselves the underdogs. I don't know which universe they came out from because last I checked, RRQ is no small squad. They can get the job done out there. The only thing is luck has not been on their side. Can they get booyahs? Yes. Can they annihilate teams? Yes. Do they have amazing rotations to find the final circle? Absolutely yes. World-class squad, but just hasn't achieved the best just yet. Maybe now is the time that they have got this battle happening on their own home turf.
Yeah. I think it just makes sense to bring this up as well. RRQ, it seems at the moment one of the major factors holding this team back is pressure. This team, once you hit that certain pressure threshold, this team unfortunately seems to crack. We've seen this in a few tournaments so far where they're so close to being able to achieve something great, but then all of a sudden that pressure kicks in and all of a sudden RRQ as a team, they kind of crumble. So I think this is going to be a great testing ground for RRQ fans to see, has RRQ managed to figure out how to temper themselves and to not break? Because this is the world stage. This is going to be as much pressure as you get. You're going down into the depth of the ocean. So you need to fight against that pressure. You got to break it and instead of letting it break you. So I think there's a lot of eyes on RQ, especially for the Indonesian fans, because they have been waving the Indonesian flag for years. This is an org, and a lot of the players on the team, everyone knows them. They are idols for a lot of our survivors out there. They look up to these players because they have been around for such a long time. So RRQ, their moment of greatness, it could possibly be this year, but they need to figure out this issue of theirs.
Absolutely, and of course, let's not forget, we also have the new loadout system that's activated in the game for you guys as well out there, and the players have to deal with the brand new loadout system. And I say deal like it's a bad thing. It is one of the best updates that we have gotten in a long time. Now we've got the new items, the team booster, the enhanced hammer, the tactical market, as well as the super leg pockets. The most surprisingly interesting ones are obviously the leg pocket. We've got the capability of the players to boost their own stats out there as well, and we see a lot of the rushes kind of going for that instead of extra items in the game.
Well, I think with the inclusion of the new items, you have to sort of play with it. And considering that there hasn't been a lot of time since this has been added, I think there's going to be some teams I feel that might struggle just with the new additions. Like, yes, you're on the world stage, but at some point, once you add something new to the game, you have to be ready to adapt to these new changes. And I'm kind of wondering, are there any teams out there that might still be panicking, thinking like, guys, I'm not used to this yet. This I can't use efficiently enough because I just haven't had enough time to practice with the inclusion of the new system. So, I mean, based off of yesterday, do you kind of feel like there were any teams that might have sort of dragged their feet maybe in the dirt? Maybe you feel like they might have struggled based off of the new system?
I don't think anyone's struggling with the new system. In fact, they all have a great advantage now. It has really empowered some of the rushes especially. And by the way, if you guys love big damage, if attack, offense, and aggression sounds like you, your loadout pick is the enhanced hammer. Now, unfortunately, we haven't seen any teams make this the priority pick for themselves just yet. I would like to see maybe a couple of those rushes go out there with the enhanced hammer, but they have been focusing a little bit more on recovery, a little bit more on shielding themselves from harm out there, because you can't take your chances, and I'd rather survive a little longer as opposed to put out more damage, because technically you've got other qualities in the game that can get that done.
Well, again, we don't know the full potential of the hammer, so maybe it just takes one player to figure out, okay, how is there a way for me to make the most of this? What are you? Why, AJ? Why?
I'm laughing because you say you don't know the full potential, and the OB51 patch notes, right? When you look at the enhanced hammer, it just says firepower. That's the only description.
That's what I mean. Like, nobody knows the full potential, so you've got to use it to find out what that potential is. Look,
looks like the teams don't want to find out.
I mean, you kind of can't blame them too. If you don't have numbers or statistics to work with, you don't know, is it worth taking the hammer over, say, the healing instead? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, healing is also really great. If you're alive, you can actually help your team. If you're dead, then I think we kind of understand what you provide to your team. Not much, maybe a little bit of vision. But, AJ, are you ready? Game number 1.
I think
Bermuda. The round is ready to go. Our teams are ready to go, folks. I think it is time to fly in and kick things off on Bermuda.
In here, game number 1 at Bermuda. Yesterday we had a little bit of a slow start. We kicked things off at Alpine and it just didn't go the way a couple of these squads were looking at. GOW obviously stole the match away at Bermuda, and honestly it was a really surprising match for me because it was quite equal at the very top. Not a lot of eliminations overall on the leaderboard on this map.
Alright, AJ. So, teams are coming in, and at the moment, it looks like we are going to have, aside from WAG and Hotshots, we are going to be having more or less a clear entry point for our teams. As we've got Coach and Rastia going to be moving in together and actually launching themselves to meet up with their teammates, with R7 in the background going to be moving along as well. Now, Coach Heel going to be moving along with the team. I guess the question here for some of the teams is, what is the game plan? Because we know here right now, Hotshots and WAG want to put some blood on the board. They want to get those elims right off the bat. But who is in the better position? I have to say, WAG, I do like their position a little bit more, with Please1 leading the charge and X4 just sitting on the side.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Hotshots from Pakistan have got a great fight up against them now. And WAG didn't really perform all that too well yesterday. Looks like Bangladesh is off to a fantastic start up against Movistar as well, having taken away Della from the equation. Hunting down Games King. Here's Hope, has got the Mac-10 in hand, and he's praised him down. Bangladesh is off to a fantastic start. And Mexico cannot take the heat. Hacks with the P90, on for the save. Goes in for the pickup as Hope gets dropped. Maybe a little bit of recovery is just possible here. WAG, on the other hand, trying to dispatch the players on the side of Hotshots one after the other.
Oh, but WAG, even though they won that previous engagement, now all of a sudden we have another team coming in to cause some issues here. NBL, oh my gosh, Flo, MVP and Chrysler already hitting the ground, and all of a sudden I think they might be regretting this movement here, thanks to EVOS, who are the ones to be sticking their nose into this business. And this is just as bad for WAG, because if you know that EVOS is here, this is a team that is going to want to eliminate you from the round. And you can see here AimGod and Ray trying to get into position. They do have to be mindful though, this is still WAG, but Please1, big shot from the side, thanks to Coach Hill. Rasta coming in to finish off T-Quay and Cyrus, and EVOS already starting strong with 4 eliminations to their name.
Yeah, brilliant anticipation here by EVOS. They heard the gunshots and they thought, hey, you know what, let's drop by and say hello. Let's get our game day off to a fantastic start. 4 eliminations early on before we even reach the 4-minute mark. It's fantastic for EVOS as E1 Sports now finds a little bit of a potential victim out there on the battlefield for themselves from MEA. The one and only Clear Vision Esports, but not a full-on engagement just yet from E1 Sports, just kind of biding their time, making sure they don't hop on into this battle without making sure they are in the best of spots. And as RRQ circles around, they find a stray player from the side of Redcliffe, too easy, and it looks like the revivals will continue for the Bangladeshi squad.
The revivals are continuing for all of our participating teams because we still haven't had an elimination yet. We're still running 12 teams in this match. So you can already see teams really trying to play around collecting vision and, if possible, trying to grab those early eliminations. Speaking of, we have Mufasa on the side of Heavy just doing a bit of a scouting duty for the team, and they managed to find somebody playing along the outskirts. And at the moment, it does look like it's going to be a 3 versus 3 until the full team for Heavy is able to regroup, and the situation is looking a little awkward. So instead, Heavy will be leaving, but AG Global instead might be the ones to run into Kuslo here. He's going to be taking those shots, and this should be the end. Thanks to Cypher. Finishes them off so easily.
Unfortunate that they lose Cluso as AG Global spots them, and the hunt is on. Vending machine just in front of Nova Legion, so a revival is going to be fairly quick and easy. As I say, that Sabas brings Cluso right back in. Cypher AC-80 in hand, looking to face Sabas out, misses the connection. That headshot could have been deadly. In for the vending machine instead, as EVOS now bumps into the players of Movistar R7. Elimination after elimination, but Coach Shield at a vending machine just brings his brothers right back into the play.
Those eliminations from Movistar actually pushed them up into first place already for our first game, sitting on 6 eliminations. So currently our leaderboard leaders, AJ, and it looks like the team, they don't want things to end yet. They're even looking for Coach Hill, and even though EVOS are able to get those revives back in, this is going to set them so far back in this matchup because their players are going to have to go back, try and find new items, and basically regroup and figure out, okay, how do we play at a item deficit? Because we've seen in the past for EVOS, this team thrives if they're allowed to just go absolutely crazy from the start. But with a start like this, you know, I struggle to see EVOS being able to achieve much in this round.
Yeah, just at the very start, 7 eliminations already here for Movistar R7. As AG Global now rotates around, a big potential to bump into the players of Nova Legion, and AIM got a sliver of health, but thankfully nobody around this compound. There is a vending machine here, so he should be able to bring his buddies back if in any case things do go south for the guy. But thankfully the rest of the players are safe for the time being.
And hopefully they stay safe for a little bit longer, because if they have teams chasing them and cutting them down, this is not going to be an easy job at all. And unfortunately for AIM God, I think he's going to be cut down again because Movistar R7, they really want to get rid of this team. They have no idea who they're charging into, but it's EVOS. It's a major team. But looks like AIM God able to get a knock there onto Games King, so buying time for the rest of EVOS to come through. Is this maybe going to be a moment of regret here? AIM God does get cut down, but it's still 3 versus 4. Very, very doable for the team if they have the items.
Yeah, let's see if or not they can pull this off, as AIM God taken out of the equation is going to be a big problem for them. Russia sorts that out by bringing up Games King. What a shot from afar. The tag is there, but no follow-up just yet. Movistar not looking to waste time at all, moving together as a squad. They have to be careful though. They're not really stacked as far as those glue walls are concerned, so getting caught out in the open here could be absolutely deadly, especially if there is a third party around them. We'll catch up with that in a little bit as Heavy spots out AG Global from the roof. Allen just awaiting, biding his time. The sharp shot from him has the M79. This could just be deadly.
Oh, make sure they have to land it. They have to land that shot because it's AG Global, and Kami is going to be the one to be cut down instead thanks to Chinoy. Beautiful shots coming through from AG Global, and now with one player down. Oh, but Chinoy gets denied by Allen, putting them down a player, and all of a sudden Mufasa trying to charge in, almost getting an elimination himself, but Cypher rushes into the building. Chinoy going to be still on the ground there, and all of a sudden now for Heavy, just the best time to hunt down AG Global players, and they're going to try and do so. Allen, he's back up. He's going to try and meet up with his teammates, finish off that elimination first. Cypher goes down thanks to Mufasa, and Heavy keep themselves in the game.
Yeah, it's a great play coming through from Heavy here, and it's very impressive because yesterday when Heavy played this Bermuda map, They just didn't manage to get as much as they wanted. Placement points were decent, but eliminations-wise, it was just 3, and your number 1 sports squad just got annihilated, removed from the lobby on 11th. Unfortunate for AG Global.
Terrible start, unfortunately. So, bit of an uphill battle for this team from game 2 onwards if they're hoping to stay at the top of that leaderboard. And as you can see right now, teams are starting to rotate because we have now figured out our definitive path for our teams. Our circle has been decided, and it's going to be pretty dead center for this particular matchup. Not quite hiding in a corner, so teams have a lot of room to play with at the moment. But it seems like we are having a quiet moment here for the teams, at least. I know a certain team, EVOS Divine, is very grateful to have this quiet time because we did have a pretty chaotic start, AJ, right? Teams, you can really see, showing a lot of respect to their opponents, really aiming for eliminations. And we have seen in the past how eliminations can really determine a team's position in a game if correctly executed.
Yeah, no doubt at all. I think that is something they definitely have to look out for. But what's a little more impressive as well is All-Star R7, they did very well on Bermuda yesterday, a total of 21 points, and it looks like they're on their way to do that again. If anything, they might just break their record from yesterday. What a shot! Turn from afar, ESK to Witten. Has managed to trade out UNS before he gets dropped. The pickup is instantaneous inside the time turner. And E1 Sports just clean house. Clear Vision Esports spotted them, had clear vision, could do nothing with the information.
Yeah, great recovery there for E1 because they did have a player on the ground when that fight broke out. But they do also reveal their position to the rest of the teams because right now, we are starting to run out of real estate, and teams are basically next door neighbors at this point of stage. But I love the positioning here for RRQ. So coming into this circle, we do have Duets playing pretty far forward for the team, playing as the scout, trying to provide vision and help RRQ figure out where they're going to have to decide for their next path to be, because it is, aside from that, very open. There's not a lot to work with here for our teams. You're going to have to try and rely a lot on natural cover, including boulders and trees. And there's only so few of those going around, especially if you're trying to tree hop and provide yourself that safety going into that circle. Speaking of safety, Hotshot's not going to be looking too safe themselves because they are running into Flutso territory, and Hotshots have been shot out of the lobby.
Goodness me, that was just way too swift. They didn't stand a chance. Fluxo, your reigning defending champions, just not messing around. They missed out on the number 1 spot yesterday. They are not looking to do so today. All-Star R7 back in action. This time they won EVOS Cold Shield. Lee Breeze thrown out. And the response of those glue wall melters meeting the EVOS players at RRQ! Backstab! Indonesia just messed up the play for one of their own, and they don't even know it. They got down on the ground. Riptide Rhythm sent as well from Mahal. Just throwing more chaos into this battle between Movistar as well as EVOS. The pickup instantaneous. Aimgot needs to back away for a little bit here as RRQ takes the fight straight up to them, and now this backstep is going to be pretty deadly, as Joker does manage to help out RRQ a little bit here with the elimination onto the EVOS player. RRQ makes it to the next circle.
Very, very lethal elimination there for EVOS because they've lost Rasia. So the sniper is out of the picture, and the rest of the team is going to have to try and pick up the pieces and survive moving forward. But RRQ showing signs of life in this lobby, looking to at least assert some level of dominance as they're trying to figure out, okay, where's their next path going to be? Because they have secured themselves a compound, so they've got some place to hide for now. But where's that next circle going to be? It's going to be moving much more center of that next section. And I mean, EVOS are pretty happy to be where they are right now. Movistar R7 is going to encroach on that territory very soon as well. And it looks like Kochi has been caught there by Woodson.
Yeah, I mean, EVOS not having a great game here. They keep getting aimed down. Early on, Movistar and then RRQ, and now Fluxo, everybody taking aim. The champions of the EWC Free Fire 2025 about to get annihilated here as they stand right in the middle. Everyone surrounding them It is just unfortunate in terms of position for EVOS. How do they make their way out of this? They do have a vending machine that they could abuse. Bring back their buddies, but in a circle so tight, spraying them down from the skies isn't going to be too tough at all. Heavy, on the other hand, losing player after player on that high ground, which was supposed to be advantages for them, turns out to be a absolute curse. Mufasa is still there, though.
Oh boy, RC is going to be out of the running. So we still have 7 teams in the running here, AJ. Right now, it looks like Fluxo has made their move. They're going to try and fight into E1. And so far, the team is looking very strong. Gio is right in their face. And right now, E1, they're running out of distance. But MT7 has been caught thanks to Vitten. Beautiful sight coming out from the team. But they can keep chopping them down like this. This is how E1 can get rid of our reigning champions. But Fluxo still trying to find that opening. And it's very, very dangerous now. They're running low on resources, but looks like Vitten's been caught. Lions the next one to fall thanks to RRQ. RRQ are actually helping out Fluxo.
Yeah, RRQ doesn't know that. They just want to sneak away these points. And, of course, those bumps off the grenade launcher, one after the other, being tossed at that battle, hoping to get lucky. RRQ does manage to sneak one knock away. Mahal's going to miss the signal here. The 2 E1 Sports players will get away with their lives. But RRQ will be in trouble because E1 Sports could just stab them in the back as they make this rotation in.
And while all that's happened, Movistar's R7 has been eliminated, so clearly something has happened, meaning that EVOS all of a sudden have a way into this game, and we're going to be starting to see some monster truck gaming here, folks, as we use this as cover. This hill is barren. There is barely anything to work with, and you can see already the rivalry between the two teams. MVL looking to take out EVOS on that low ground, and RRQ wanting to keep Fluxo at bay on that high ground. EVOS still struggling to try and make their way up onto the high ground, so they have to glue walls. We see NBL rushing in. Kusto going to be hitting the ground first. There's Sebast still looking rather healthy, but EVOS not looking healthy themselves. Both of their players very, very low. It's just aim gone. He's going to finish off Lopez and do the best that he can, but EVOS down to their final player, and look at this, RRQ looking to take game number 1. AJ, NBL, there's only so much you can do with one player, but RRQ have taken game number 1.
Beautifully done by RRQ. Very safe, and in fact, luck was definitely on their side. Unlike what EVOS had to deal with so many squads, it's constantly focusing their firepower up against EVOS, where they had to play defense, where they had to lose a lot of resources, play those revivals in those very final moments. RRQ, on the other hand, brilliantly created their own future, playing from the edges of the circle. Had also the M79 and had the grenade launcher, which tried its best to sneak away a couple of extra eliminations off of some third-party situations. But of course, it was a opportunity well played for them. Movistar R7 did well as well, but unfortunately couldn't get deep enough into the final bout of the action.
So I think we're already starting to develop some storylines here for our first game, AJ. EVOS, they could be in trouble if Movistar's R7 continue to chase them moving into game number 2 onwards, because that was a trend that we saw for this particular game. Fluxo might have some beef to pick on with RRQ just because of that final circle. They were almost at risk of being eliminated. E1, that bout with E1, I think that is also going to give us a bit of a glimpse into RRQ's playstyle, because they could have fully committed into eliminating E1, but the fact that they double backed, that is giving me hope for this team, that they have maybe curbed that impulsiveness that sometimes sort of kicks this team in the shins. So I'm feeling good vibes, okay, but it's only game number 1. I've got to see more from RRQ to feel really confident in them for the rest of the games today.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but I think RRQ is definitely geared up. They are well warmed up because of that home ground advantage, right? They know exactly what they're dealing with. They've got a little bit of fan power ahead of them as well. I didn't hear anyone scream out for RRQ earlier, but for EVOS, someone went crazy in the crowd earlier on. They're like, yeah, EVOS! that's the kind of extra buff that you need. For all you know, you've got some of your friends out there who are right in front, maybe part of your crew as well, cheering you on. Things like this make the biggest of difference. And at the end of the day, RRQ has been waiting for a long time to prove themselves, and nothing went wrong for them in this matchup. Once again, some of the other teams faced a little bit of difficulty. Of course, that's exactly how each and every single lobby is going to be. But with all of that luck being on the side of RRQ, they made very good use of it. In fact, I would say in some of those circumstances, they manufactured the luck because of that brilliant rotation that they had, just sticking to the very edges of the circle all the time.
Yeah, I think... Have we seen RRQ sort of deploy this playstyle quite recently? Because I know in the past, RRQ would play the opposite, where they would basically try to find the center of the circle and they would camp out in whatever compound that they could find there. Do you feel like something that might have been a new emerging playstyle for this team? Because I feel like we saw a lot of this at EWC for RRQ. Like this team trying to figure out what their new identity and play style was moving forward, because we know in the past, like their old strat just stopped working and they really tried to make it work. But now that we're seeing this seems new. I don't know about you.
Yeah, this is just classic RRQ, right? Just play the late game, don't go crazy just yet, wait for that best opportunity before you strike. And of course, they've got the Skyland Nero Chrono Oscar on the combo, and it's anticipated and discussed earlier on as well. The team booster as well as the tactical market being the choice for a lot of these players. They don't want to go crazy with the hammer just yet because the health and the utilities kind of take the priority as of this point.
Yeah, I'm hoping we see at least one hammer on one of these team stats, because I would be very disappointed if nobody attempts to make the hammer work. Personally, I do think the hammer has the potential to be a really incredible loadout. They just someone's got to prove that it's worth using. I'm waiting for that Guardian Angel of mine to suddenly appear. But the Guardian Angel.
I mean, weak game overall in terms of eliminations, as opposed to what usually RRQ can pull off, because we do tend to see more eliminations out of Dutz. He's very proficient on the AC-80, especially with the passive skills that he brings in as well, right? He's got the Maro, he's got the Luna for the extra firing rate whenever the connections do hit, and he is quite the sharpshooter. Brings in a weird combo with the passives as well, with the bet for to be the grenadier of the squad. If he had participated as much in those eliminations, I think we would have seen much more out of RRQ, but I think we'll take this. It's a good start overall. They do end up in that #1 spot, and of course, Ma'al walking away with the MVP. Total of 4 eliminations with the typical sniper build, right? Except he's dropped out the Raphael, he's replaced it with the Suzy just for those extra coins.
I think this early on, it's a really great, it's a great idea to kind of change things up a little bit for the team. Okay, good start for RQ here, right? It's Bermuda, it's game #1. Game #2 is Kalahari. Does RRQ have the potential to be able to bring this momentum into game #2 and potentially be the first team to get 2 booyahs? Because we know right now no team has secured 2 booyahs in a day, let alone a back-to-back booyah. Just based off what we have seen from RRQ today, do you think they're going to be able to pull it off for this next matchup?
High probability. I think RRQ is just one of those squads who's really proficient when it comes to those rotations. When it comes to moving from compound to compound, no team does it better than RRQ. At one point of time, it was definitely Buriram on the Southeast Asian platform, but RRQ was always supreme at getting those rotations done, right? Now when you throw in some of, LATAM in, you throw in some of these Western squads who are able to take the fight up the East, then the story changes just a little bit. I have to highlight as well, the LATAM squads are doing exceptionally well in the competition.
Yeah, the LATAM teams, I have to say, I think they could be the X factor that kind of throws off some of our potential favorites in the competition, because we have to remember this is an inter-regional event. We have teams from regions that don't normally play together playing in the same tournament. In particular, LATAM, Brazil playing with our Asian teams. Like, yes, we do these in international events, but for most of the year, these teams don't really get to play with each other. And I kind of feel like LATAM and Brazil, Fluxo, they're last year's champions, but I really feel like they could be, like, the region in particular could basically steal another title away from Asia, as long as they can try to catch some of these Asian teams off guard, because there is still this level of respect by all teams from every region that they give to the Thai teams, even though these teams are not currently holding world championship titles from last year. So I feel like this could be something that really just throws off all of our Asian teams.
Absolutely, and I think it's a brilliant debut for Nova Legion. Walking into game number 1, they take the second spot, almost struck the booyah. If they had the numbers on their side, it would have been phenomenal, right? And we have to acknowledge as well, Nova Legion almost got wiped out in the very first circle itself. Within the first 2 minutes, they were taking heavy firepower, and thankfully that recovery was not just good, but absolutely sublime, and they went on to pick up massive numbers of eliminations. Remember Crusoe, AG Global, he got trapped, and I thought that was going to be the end for them, and we wouldn't get to see LATAM kind of show off much in this Bermuda map, but it was the exact opposite. They walk in and they get the most number of eliminations in the lobby, 13 in total, which was very impressive.
Alright, so Game 1 is done and dusted, ladies and gentlemen. We are done with Bermuda, and we are getting ready to go into Kalahari for our next map matchup. And we already mentioned, AJ and I already talked about this earlier in the broadcast. The Indonesian teams, this is where they are going to thrive. But I think everyone knows this. Everyone knows that all of the Indonesian teams love to play Kalahari. So with this information in mind, how would you play around the Indonesian teams? Because I think they set the gold standard for Kalahari playstyle.
Yeah. So they definitely were very proficient on Kalahari until Thailand just said, you know what, sit down boys, we're going to take over this map. And you see a lot of proficiency coming in from Thailand, but we also do have to respect Movistar R7 out of Mexico, right? They proved themselves yesterday. They have taken a lot of opportunities on this Kalahari. You got to respect the rotations out of Movistar R7. You know, great consistency in the squad overall, and one of the more impressive plays were on Kalahari. So this is definitely something that we got to look out here for. As far as Indonesia and Kalahari is concerned, I just think EVOS needs to use this to step it back up, because this is where Rasya truly shines.
If I was Rasya, I think I'd probably want to hide a little bit more, because you're going to have a target on your head. I think it goes without saying, this is probably the man to watch out for in Kalahari. As we are getting ready for Kalahari here, folks, we've just finished up Bermuda. If you missed out on match number 1, RRQ is setting the stage here for day number 2 after securing our first booyah of the day. So strong start for the team so far. They're looking good, but we still are waiting to see if RRQ is considered a top contender, because they label themselves as an underdog, which I personally don't agree. I do think this is still considered a top tier team. It's just they're probably not being looked at as much as Falcons, for example, and to a certain degree EVOS and Buriram. So I think RRQ, they still need to be very careful, because if they are going to think of themselves as an underdog in the tournament, I'm scared this mindset could get them killed unnecessarily on a map, because they think that they're harmless, they expect everyone to think they're harmless, but that's not quite the case.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous that RRQ calls themselves the underdogs. Right? It does not fit. The description definitely doesn't fit what the team is capable of doing. We've got a video as well for your delight, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We've got AVAX here with some spicy words. Let's see exactly what the good sir has to say.
So, coba kalian bisa adaptasi nggak di sini, karena soalnya kemarin kita di Brazil susah banget buat adaptasi dengan makanan, cuaca di sana. Nah, sekarang kalian cobain di sini di tanah kita. Sangat berbeda jamnya, makanannya. Kemarin gue dengar makanan Indonesia dia kagak suka. Dia mesennya McD mulu. Dia gak suka makanan Indonesia karena pedes. Ya buat haters ya tetap menghujat kita. Semoga hujatan kalian nggak bakal capek ngasih ke kita, karena itu kata-kata salah satu motivasi buat kita. Thank you bro, semangat terus. Semoga dosa kalian makin banyak.
Shots have been fired. EVOS taking a dig at Fluxo of all teams.
That wasn't even a dig. I think the Indonesians are just showing off that they are as spicy as their food. I think I'd be a little bit careful there, right? Because if you spoke the flame to some of these teams, you could be inviting a unwanted guest in your house. But, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we are ready to jump into Kalahari. The teams are ready to go. The Indonesians are ready to go. All our participating teams are ready to go, folks. Who do you think is going to grab our second booyah of the day? We'll find out right now. But let's fly into Kalahari.
That's exactly who gets to dominate the desert sands out here at Kalahari as we kick off game number 2 on day number 2 of our knockout stage. A total of 6 days here at the knockouts, and each team gets to play 4 out of those 6 days. You technically don't have a lot of opportunities at all. Yes, 24 sounds like a lot when you start, but as you start going through those matches, they dwindle down really, really quick. You can ask WAG about that. You can even ask EVOS about that. You know, they really, are quite experienced in the group stage of the Southeast Asian leg. They didn't really fare all that too well.
Speaking of not faring too well, we might be seeing a little bit of action on confinement over there, AJ. We've got NVL and Heavy actually fighting over that singular compound. So we could be seeing some names hit the dust, some players being sent back to the aircraft. But we are seeing here RRQ camped out at their favorite spot. They're back in Refinery. This is the place that this team knows and loves. And we'll have to see if anyone decides to compete for that spot later on, as Kabi is the first one to be down there.
Yeah, and Hope versus the whole squad of Movistar until Liku shows up. Games King, sliver of health left on him. P90, Liku has the advantage here, goes in for the spray, gets the fantastic knock. I have to say, Redcliffe has been very impressive, albeit they did not manage to get very far in that first game, but their engagements look a little sharper than Redhawks, which is quite a big surprise to me.
I mean, if they keep fighting like this, I think it'll absolutely pay off for the team. Yeah, so Reckless, they pick up 2 eliminations. We've just started the round. Could be a good sign for the team if they can also just stabilize. And I think something that could maybe hold Redcliffe's back is you kind of fight into everybody, but if you're too reckless, then you might just be throwing your entire team away and ending your run for the round. So at least they got their 2 elims, and we'll see what Redcliffe decide to do here, if they maybe want to try and compete for Refinery or if they want to play along the outer edge. Now, speaking of other teams, we do have EVOS here looking to shoot out hot shots. Almost went for action, but no, a little bit too late on the trigger there. Oh! Another shot there. Oh, Rastia! Doing Rastia things.
Well, Coach Hill is right in front of Dowley. Taking a couple of pops shouldn't be too difficult here. And this is Clear Vision Esports about to get annihilated. 2 games back-to-back super early. Not a good sign at all. And it looks like they can't get away. Rastia has got a pretty deadlock on them with the ESK. They do manage to hop on away from away. Does get tagged from afar. Younes is holding back just to see if or not he can buy a little bit of time for the rest of his team members. And he sacrifices himself for the greater good. Question is, what can the rest of the Clear Vision Esports players do with the extra time their buddy has given them? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, Fluxos decided to end their run, so Clear Vision, they thought they were free, but sometimes you just launch yourself in the wrong direction and you basically feed yourselves into the mouth of another potential predator in that lobby. So, first team gone, 11 teams remaining, but already a great start here for EVOS. And actually, there are still some other teams that are doing rather well in the lobby, but I think EVOS... I think a lot of teams are expecting EVOS to do well, and the numbers, they're kind of proving them all right. EVOS are currently the kings of Kalahari for this round.
And Clear Vision again with the early exit. Unfortunate for them. They only picked up 1 point on Bermuda. And barely anything in this matchup, so we'll have to wait and see what they can do with the rest of those 4 opportunities. Hacks with the spot. But Liku with the revive before he gets shut down. So quick fingers right there for the Redcliffe players. And this just happened to be the same issue that the Redhawk squad was facing as well. Great start with the initial engagement, and then they fizzle out fairly quickly after that. I just think Bangladesh needs more time on the global stage just to get used to the very, very different pace that we have from some of these other regions here.
Yeah, very, very fast paced, unfortunately. Teams just constantly moving. As we've got Kusto on the screen, just gonna loot up a little bit and then regroup with the team. Oh, but Floki has been caught in the backside thanks to Games King, who's able to get a very sneaky elimination. Bit of a very sneaky elimination. Oh, Sebas has been caught as well, down to 30 health, is able to try and recover, but you can see Movie Stars in the background looking to finish him off if they can catch his head. Just the top of his head is all that they need, but he's able to juke them out so far. So Sebastian, oh, but he gets caught anyway thanks to Della.
Well, let's see if Nova Legion can find the recovery, because once again they've had a very hot start, but heavy up against EVOS. A great one, as they don't manage to bump into that little Oscar. Valiant dash for nothing, but don't cry. The timing is bad here. Ray spots him, Charge Buster takes him down, and that leads them straight into E1 spot. I don't know if it was intentional, but they've been baited in. EVOS needs to get the heck out of here.
Either get the heck out or just go the heck in, because you can see Ray jumping into the fray as well, and they managed to get down there onto Vitini. So EVOS, I think they're comfortable trying to fight into this, but they have to find a clear point of entry into the team, because E1 is going to keep themselves within that compound for now, and so far it is keeping them rather well protected. And you can see right now Rasia trying to see, okay, can I get into position to maybe punish someone instead? Catching vision of another player on his side. So I think Rasia just wanting to make sure he's covered on all angles to make sure that he's not picked off while he's trying to go for these snipes.
EVOS 10 eliminations on the Bermuda map, and they are already at 6 on the 6th minute here. And Redcliffe, just like Red Hawks, hot start and a quick fizzle out. I think they need to replace some of their vendors for their little flame here. Because, you know, sometimes when you buy the wick and the wick is bad, your oil lamp doesn't burn as bright and as long. I don't know if anyone gets the analogy. I don't know how many of you guys light lamps at home, but their wick is definitely bad.
Yeah, just not, not the best game. No, what do you mean? Yes, I do.
You don't light lamps at home.
I don't.
You're
What do you mean?
You're old.
I know what an oil lamp is.
You know what it is, but you don't light it.
I don't need to light it. I press a button and then there's light.
Amen. Alan, a little bit of a risk here. Riptide Rhythm sent out from the side of Heavy up against Fluxo. Got them flanked out already, which is in trying to fish one out. And Alan cannot move anywhere at all. But the setup from Heavy is such where if they do try to take Alan out, the rest of them can back him up. Alan, and Bobs gets it done with the Winchester.
Bops them out of the air. So Heavy not feeling too happy themselves either, because now they know they're at risk of potentially being rushed upon by another team. And, you know, Bobs, he's going to be the one to set the tone for the rest of the team, but actually Woodson is there as well. So Fluxo wanting to leave a mark on the map, grab some eliminations, and if they get rid of Heavy as well, this will secure their position at command post. And look how quickly they are trying to get on top of this team. Heavy is now panicking. They're hiding in that building. Bootson's playing on the rooftop. The rest of the team has made it through. All it takes is for one head to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Some trick shots here from the jump out of the window, but on the other end, Movistar R7 moving down the players on the side of EVOS. 6 eliminations already as they break down these glue walls, ripping away lives. EVOS trying to find some way to survive this encounter, and Heavy on the other hand, I thought they were successful running away from the players of Fluxo, but all 3 fall. One final survivor. Can they find some sort of a miracle here? We missed that whole bout, and Kabi got away with a sliver of his health still left on himself.
Yeah, but this is such a big task on one player alone, so it would be a miracle for Heavy to be able to mount any reasonable comeback in this matchup. I mean, he's got a vehicle for now, so he'll try and hunt around and see if he can bring his teammates back. Rasia, though, about to be jumped on by the entire roster of Moody Stars R7, and they've caught him. And that is it. EVOS is out of the lobby.
It's unfortunate this time they just got hunted down. Did manage to play the Bermuda map fairly well, and luck just wasn't on their side this time as they got hunted down by one of the best. Movistar R7. They were upset with their placement points early on after having such a heated battle. 12 eliminations on Bermuda, and Baros China are both down. And Cypher looking for some way out of this. There is a vending machine in the compound. Getting to it is going to be the problem. And Tikui gets there first just to make sure he brings PLS1 back. And at the very same time, make sure Cypher does not get the revival. Cypher reaches M590. PLS1 taken down. One more shot needed, and Tikui with a sliver of health does manage to sneak on away. No vending machine placed just yet from Cypher. Both players on that medkit. Renee's not going to meet him just yet. And Tikui down.
Beautiful play from Cypher. I love how aggressive Cypher is. He knows what strings to pull. He knows his absolute limits. Oh, absolutely crazy. We've got Do here with Cyrus where he does manage to finish him off there. So that's going to be another point going into the pocket of AG Global. And actually, glad that we've got AG Global on the screen here because this team, unfortunately, for round number 1, completely bombed out. So if they want to keep their mark on that leaderboard, they're going to have to try and have a reasonably good round number 2. Because if they bomb out here, this is going to do some pretty serious damage to their overall ranking points.
And WAG, even today, they don't seem to be finding a lot of luck out there on the battlefield. They were one of the teams that was struggling yesterday, and the story seems to continue in here, unless, of course, X-Ball can pull off some sort of a miracle. Vending machines just ahead of him, with the whole squad of AG Global circling around. Somebody needs to use the binoculars or somehow spot out X-Ball because just that free point just sitting there, and it looks like AG Global will say bye-bye to WAG, and the team will get to survive at least another couple of circles.
Yeah, Chino not being too thorough with his final scout. So we're moving on as we are still in the running here for round number 2 here, ladies and gentlemen, on Kalahari. We still have 5 teams in the running, so we have already lost a few teams in the earlier stages of Kalahari. But at the moment, I think we have a pretty established team currently leading the charge, especially with the number of eliminations that have been going on in this round. We've been seeing a lot of fighting happening, and we could potentially see another one here with 2 major teams. Fluxo about to encroach onto RRQ territory, and the thing is, RRQ, they are gatekeeping that circle. So Fluxo, they're going to have to take that compound by force, and if they do try to fight for that particular compound, it's going to get very bloody.
Hotshot needs to stay safe as long as possible. Heavy on the right, AG on the left. He wants spots in shooting distance as well. Blue UAV sent out just to barricade that doorway. Make sure it blocks out a couple of extra shots. The Cypher cooking up the nade already. Just needs a perfect toss in, and Hotshots might just lose a couple of players and open them up for a quick rush. AG Global looking for some massive elimination points early on.
Oh, it's a very scary moment. Hotshots, AG, oh, even E1 shooting at Hotshots as well. So poor Hotshots really just on the receiving end of all of these bullets and damage and grenades. They're actually abandoning their compound as well. I think after seeing Heavy just leave theirs, and actually they're going to try and go for a fight to fight into Heavy, but instead they lose their own players. Big mistake there for Hotshots. To be fair, I think they had to make that risky play happen. But on the other side though, WAG have been eliminated in 9th place. Yeah, just a really rough game here for Hotshots. They're trying to find some kind of freedom, some kind of room to move with, but they're really just stuck in between all of these major teams.
Della? Oh, Della actually survived that with a sliver of health left on him. Brilliant pickup from the side of Movistar R7. Gamesting saving Della. Now full squad again. This is going to gear up Movistar R7 for a potential booyah here, but 8 more squads left. Circle goes towards Movistar R7. This cannot get better.
No, it cannot. This game is basically telling Movistars this is going to be your game. But can Movistars R7 basically finish this match safely? Because they're still having to deal with 6 other teams in this lobby, and we've got Heavy moving on to the high ground here. Hotshots are out, so we're now down to our top 6 teams, and now it looks like Fluxo finally going to try and take this compound away from RRQ, and you can see RRQ gripped up on that second level. They're hoping Fluxo come in from that low ground. This could be a mistake. All it takes is one grenade for the right shot, but they don't get it. They get jumped on, and the entire team hits the floor. Fluxo delete RRQ, and both of our Indonesian giants have been eliminated from the lobby.
Yeah, that was a swift movement coming through from the players of Fluxo. I'm very sure a couple of grenades were tossed on in there as well. Area of damage, caught multiple players on the side of RRQ, and then the firing squad with those M590s just dropping by to say hello. The BSK as well hitting in hard. Unfortunate for RRQ. They just don't get to contest for the Booyah this time around. E1 Sports though on the opposite end, looking straight at Fluxo, finding Jiu, Joker looking for that finisher, but the rest of them barricading themselves behind a glue wall. And the attack from E1 Sports and Movistar R7 puts Fluxo in a terrible spot.
Yeah, Movistars, they are in the perfect position with E1 and Fluxo having to fight over the compound, even Heavy hiding in the corner as well. And Movistars, they're not going to be patient. They're saying, okay, we're going to fight into this because we are in such a advantageous position and we'd like to take your compound. Kami, they're going to be using that vehicle to drive out and be a second source of cover. The Movistars, are they really thinking of fighting into this? Because the next circle has been decided. It's going to be going towards that bottom left section of the map. So Movistars, they will have to decide if they want to move with the circle or maybe get ahead of the curve and get around Fluxo first. It's kind of an awkward position now. This is no longer an instant win for Movistars. Their next move here could be where their lives end if they make that wrong decision.
Let's see what the movement is going to be here like. And Movistar R7 taking over as the elimination leaders. They definitely want the Booyah here for themselves. They got the previous circle advantage, and now it still fairly is on their side because the concentration of squad is on the opposite end. And Witten taking out the fire player from the side of Heavy. Mufasa down, and it's going to be Fluxo up against E1 Sports. It's all about the West here on Kalahari.
It is so far. E1, they still have one player on the rooftop, and actually Bitten's going to abandon ship, and instead they're going to play with this small fence line here for E1, so trying to keep themselves away from the competition. So we now have some distance between all 3 of our top 3 teams, AJ. Now the question is who gets that first big shot. It can come down to a grenade to maybe flush a team out, or it's going to have to come down to that final circle as we start running out of space. Teams having to run on in, and it could be an eco game. Who has the glue walls?
And who's got the smarts to get this victory? Deep freeze tossed on out here, and it's going to barely tickle the players on the side of E1 Sports.
Everyone's so
on the
hesitant.
other hand, just biding their time. They've got a perfect defensive spot here that does not require them to use up their glue walls. Movistar R7 is splitting off into a 2-2 buddy system, and they might just be the ones with the luck here, and Fluxo flies straight into E1 Spot, but on the drop with the Winchester and the M79 annihilates E1 Spot, and Movistar R7 moves on in as well, taking advantage. The third party, only one more to shut down, but they turn on them. E1 Spot holding their ground, but Joker and Della finishes it, and Movistar R7 secures their Booyah.
Their patience pays off. They let Fluxo decide the course of the match. Whoever they flew into, that was going to set the tone. And luckily for Movistars, Fluxo, they went to E1. That was all that it took. And if I'm not mistaken, when Fluxo jumped into E1, I think that was almost 1 or 2 players instantly downed. Huge crippling move onto E1, and that just opened the floodgates for Movistars to come in and clean things up. So patience was really the play here for Movistar R7.
Yeah, totally nervous when you saw two players on the side of Movistar R7 go down, and it was E1 taking the shots up against them. I was thinking, what in the world is happening? Because Fluxo just hopped on into you, blew your squad up with all of those grenades out of the grenade launcher. You should have been annihilated by now. But that is the strength of E1 Sports, holding their ground, out-surviving Fluxo, and the timing of the backstab from Movistar R7, initially splitting off into two sides and then moving in at the very same time after Fluxo had started off that engagement, was just chef's kiss, guaranteeing them that booyah, but obviously they needed to win out those gunfights as well. Let's take a look at the final engagement, the final shot that granted Movistar R7. See Leon with the double, taking down Hex as well as Games King. But thankfully Della was there to sort him out. And E1 out, Movistar R7 up. And this, by the way, is their very first booyah.
Their very first booyah, and it could be the gateway to more booyahs for this team, because Movistar, I have to say, we've just seen 2 games today from this team and they look brilliant. They really look on point today. They have been hunting down EVOS, and I have to say, I kind of wonder when EVOS has a moment to sit down and potentially with the coach as well, if they do have a chance to look at VODs, I think they now have to consider Movistars as a huge team to deal with, because they hunted them down in game number 1 and they hunted them down in game number 2. So EVOS starting to realize this is a dangerous team, but also Movistars are making a name for themselves with the other teams in the lobby as well. So
yeah.
Are they an underdog? I don't think so. They definitely play like a top dog at the moment, and if things just keep going the way that they are, if they're not given the respect that they deserve, I feel like they're just going to steamroll the rest of the matches today.
Yeah, I mean, I do expect them to attempt that for sure. I have to say, though, a little upset that Nova Legion did not get to continue the phenomenal streak, because Bermuda was a great play where we saw them kind of come out of the gates bursting, showing what they're capable of picking up here on the battlefield. Unfortunately, in Kalahari, that didn't really last all that too long. A little bit too much of aggression taken out of the equation. Let's take a look at the game standings and see how they fared, because Nova Legion, although they did get taken out so early on, that aggression of 9 eliminations that they picked up still does put them in a decent spot with a total of 12 points. But focusing on the Booyah squad, Movistar R7, 26 points in total. E1 Sports with 19 out of 10 eliminations and 9 placement points. Fluxo kind of gave their spot away to All Gamers Global here because of those eliminations that was kind of on the low. Although AG got taken out first, they still overtake them on the leaderboard.
Yeah, I have to say though, AJ, really glad that this is not such a top-heavy leaderboard today. I think it just goes to show how competitive this lobby is. That everyone competing today is very capable of grabbing a booyah, of being able to take down each and every team competing. but our overall standings is going to tell a better story of what is currently happening for today. And Movistars are currently leading with 43 points. And it's a significant lead too, because E1, next team down, 36 points. And Nova Legion, hello, 34 points, third place.
Yeah. This is fantastic. This is phenomenal. This is what we need to see. And at this point, I am just going to bring the conversation back. It is once again the East versus the West. And this time, as far as the leaderboard is concerned for the day, it looks like the West is absolutely whooping. But we need to see the East wake up a little bit. Yes, RRQ got that booyah in that first game, but we just didn't see that string up a lot. The curse of the booyah has come out once again. And of course, speaking of once again, we see the combo here, the team booster and tactical market, still the popular ones as far as the active skill combination here for Movistar R7. They've got the Tatsuya Skylar, Chrono Coda going their way. Lots of information. You get to protect yourself on those landing as well with the time turners, and in a sticky situation, obviously Della with Ativa gets to pick up the rest of his team members once they get dropped down, and it was the perfect fit for them because I think this is a very balanced loadout of active passive skills here for the squad.
Yeah, I think we also need to point out 2 team boosters, 2 tactical markets. This seems, just based off of these 2 games, this seems to be the loadout that everybody is currently comfortable with. By just having a good mix of utility as well as being able to support your team. So, again, I would love to see a hammer. I really, really want to see one, but someone's going to have the confidence to be able to bring it out. And also knowing that can you grab that booyah as well so we can see the stats. But moving on though, speaking of stats, Movistar's R7, very, very aggressive team. And across the board, you can see very, very even in terms of eliminations. We have 4-5, 4-5. This whole team is bloodthirsty. And I love seeing stats like this because it shows that if anything happens to players of Movistars, they're not relying on a single sniper to pick up all of their eliminations. It means across the board, the team is able to equally contribute to all of their eliminations.
Yeah. And this is what you need out of the squad. Everybody is chipping in to the performance of the squad. Nobody's getting ultra carried on the global stage, and that means you just have a good run for your squad. And I think consistency from yesterday into today is really solid, especially for Games King, the star player of Movistar R7. 4 eliminations, 2,514 on the damage. Walking in here with the Tatsuya, the Rebel Rush, has got the combination of the Shani, Joseph, Ford for his passive skills as well. Now we know although Ford just got that little bit of a nerf recently, that still has not deterred these players from picking him, and having Shani just give him that gear recycle, having that extra layer of defense helps him out on the front line, that M590, and to top it up, you've got the team booster as well. I think he's got the perfect gear. No wonder a lot of these players want to bring in the team booster. I don't think you're going to see that hammer, Danny.
I mean, just based off of the games that we've seen, yeah, I think it's very, very unlikely that we see the hammer. But I will be very positive. I do want to see at least one. So if we see one throughout the entirety of the World Series, I think I'm going to be
satisfied. Okay,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So walk us through the weapon progression here, AJ, on for Kalahari, at least for Movistar's R7. So
yeah.
Thoughts so far?
They were very lucky at the very drop itself, because the very first compound they pick up really good guns that they could carry all the way into the final circle. You're talking about the M590, the Winchester, that both of them are very much in the meta right now. The VSK94 as well in the meta for those long range connections, and you see that they don't really change out of these guns until they pick up the AC80 a little bit later on, and Games King replaced the VSK94 with the SVD. This was a blessed game for Movistar R7. This kind of explains exactly why they were able to go all out aggressive from the very first circle down to the final one, because that's the god of RNG kind of playing its tricks on you. This time Movistar R7 just got the better end of the stick.
Yeah, I mean, would you also consider the fact that this team they didn't need to revive anybody that like also got lucky, you know, in terms of progression? Like they didn't need to constantly switch guns compared to a team that, let's say, for example, EVOS, just getting picked off. You don't even get a chance to have a main gun, because I think Movistars they were a full roster from start to finish, if I'm not mistaken. Like they just had a really great run for this second game.
I'm not sure if I saw any revives on their side, but yeah, when you've got the right loadout at the very start in itself, you are obviously the better squad when it comes to those engagements. You've got those prime in-meta weapons, and obviously Movistar is not really a chump squad, right? They are great at those aims, and they annihilate teams. And even the strategy aspect of Movistar R7 is very tight. You saw there was a lot of patience before moving in as the third party in that final bout of action, and that in itself proves why they don't drop so many players, why they're not constantly reviving out there. And I hope I'm not cursing them as I say this, but you know, that was a really tight game overall from Movistar R7, and the performance from yesterday continues into today, and that is a fantastic sign for this squad. This is what we need to see out of them a little bit more. They're definitely making Mexico very, very proud.
So next, I think we have to start talking about the next map, AJ. Solara. This is a map that a lot of teams have struggled with. Movistar's R7, do we have statistics on their Solara performance?
Yeah, I mean, Movistar R7, they didn't fare well at all yesterday. Just one placement point, but as usual, very aggressive eliminations. They got 8 eliminations before they got eliminated early. So this is the good and the bad about Movistar R7. They are very capable, but they don't think twice about going out there and finding those engagements, which I think is a very positive aspect of the squad on the global finals, because you can afford to make some mistakes as long as you're sharpening your skills of engagement up against the other regions. So, but as far as the stats game go on and the leaderboard, they didn't fare well because of that very peppy, hyper-aggressive side of themselves. But are they good? They're damn good.
yeah, they're pretty dang good, especially after the 2 games that we have seen for this team. So fans of Movie Stars R7 going to be rejoicing as they did pick up the Booyah for game number 2. And yes, they did not grab the Booyah for game number 1, but they looked pretty dang good for that first matchup. So coming into game number 3, this could be another potential map for this team to grab their second Booyah for today. Otherwise, this is going to be a team that you kind of want to dodge if you're a little bit of a slower team to ramp up. And I think in that case, cough, cough, RRQ, much slower team in terms of ramp. They do tend to come online towards that mid to end game. And if you're a team like that, yeah, you kind of want to avoid Movie Stars R7 like the plague. So coming into Solara, do you think we're going to be in for a very rocky map, as in teams just decide to go hunting? Because I think even until now, teams are still not 100% confident on their performance for Solara. It's very hit or miss because I think they haven't quite figured out their most comfortable play style yet. And also the slide rails, I think, still are a bit of an X factor. Some teams still quite haven't mastered that yet. Do you think we could be in for another really, really quick game where teams just decide they're going to go hunting left, right, and center and play towards that central area of the circle again?
Quick game, no. Hunting, high probability, because you've got those slide rails on Solara. It makes it very convenient to reposition from one compound into another. Those rotations are going to be fairly easy as long as you've got it planned out in advance. And since this is the global stage, I'm very sure every single squad has already planned out their drop spot as well as rotations. They know exactly where those slide rails are. And obviously, if they go in there, they execute it perfectly, it's going to be great. But we also have to look at other factors. The other factor is obviously number 1, RNG. And also with the coincidence of, does anybody else just decide to hot drop you and make things a little bit more complicated at the start, just like what Redcliffe has been facing so far. But of course, as I say that, it's going to be game number 3, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, survivors of all ages. This time it is Solara, the latest addition into our map rotation, and it is a map that not many teams have found full mastery on just yet.
But maybe today's the day where we find out the team that has conquered Solara, the newest addition to Free Fire's competitive map pool. Teams are flying in. I want to see if we see any hot drops, because I have to say today, I think both games, our first 2 games, they both had hot drops. So teams are looking for blood, but do they dare look for blood on probably the most difficult map to play on? And at the moment, it's looking like a negatory, AJ.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look for some hot drops here, it may be just slightly difficult to find, but close proximity drops are going to be a little bit of an issue here, especially if you look at the position held by E1 Sports up against AG Global. It's going to be a little complicated. Hot shots up against RRQ as well. A 2v2 has ensued. Great time turner from Ekal. Doesn't have the weapon on him. A quick in and out. Abe tries to just whack everyone with a bat. Leo gets Ekal. Abe shuts down Leo. A 1-for-1. The melee still not working out in his action. He actually drops by into the time turner, gets the pickup as well. Pulls out a glue wall, gets the execution. Hot shots just drop the ball big time there with that opportunity.
Drop the wall because they're going up against a player that had no gun to begin with. Who needs a gun when you can bonk them on the head? Oh man, what a start there for RQ. Hot shots getting hot shots for the first couple of seconds for Solara. Yeah, we're probably seeing a big one here. Oh, going to be cut down thanks to Anas. So small victory there for Hot Shots. They don't quite get the elim yet. Ma'al is still there. Hang on a minute though, we've got another team coming through, and they've actually gotten rid of Jutz. And Ma'al, he is finally out thanks to Anas.
Yeah, GG. This is the squad from MEA, Clear Vision Esports, spotting out the engagement, dropping by to say hello, and RRQ says, slide rail out of here, baby. We do not want to deal with you guys right now. 2 players down, they need to recover off screen. Nova Legion is shutting down players on the side of Redcliffe as well. WAG up against E1 Sports on the other hand. X4 with the first connection, but Leon just turns around 180, finds the connection. Tikui with the backstab will save his buddies. But Leon just had a great 1v2 there, and he walked out of it initially on top. But the 3v1 may be just a little bit too much to deal with.
Yeah, that was actually a very expensive elimination because I believe they lost X4, so that was a forced team buyback as well. So some of these eliminations, they're getting quite costly, and we could be seeing another costly one here, AJ, because we have AG and WAG within very close proximity of one another. Tikoi trying to get away. He does get shot at, but he will successfully be able to get away, but at the cost of Cyrus, who will be removed from the map pool. And action from Hotshot's going to be caught there, thanks to Probe scouting out for the team. So Hotshot's not off to a great start themselves either, thanks to clear vision. And back to AG Global. I have to say, AJ, that today has not been AG Global's day. Very, very horrible game number 1. Game 2 was also another AF round. I feel like if they don't stabilize game 3 onwards, I feel like they're just going to drop down so far on that leaderboard after such a great start.
No doubt at all. And Mitin is going to be the sacrificial lamb here. The side of E1 Sports, left behind. And he is not going to be surviving this encounter for sure as AG. Now 2v1. Mitin tries to turn things around, has the Bison, but they flank around perfectly well, not giving him an opportunity to even strike a single one of them down. Hotshots, on the other hand, about to lose another player if Hasu literally runs into the squad of RRQ. This is not looking good. No,
luckily for the team, he's not the last player standing, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done for Hotshots to be brought back. That was a nice elim for RRQ though, because that does give them another point on the board. Geo though, going to be shut down thanks to Floki. So Fluxo not going to be too happy losing one of their major contenders on the team, and well, E1 thinking of wanting to fight into this as well. And I think things are going to get really messy here, AJ, unless somebody decides to bail.
Yeah, you could say that again. Nova Legion up against Fluxo. This is not the battle you want to see if you are in support of the West. But Nova Legion with this rotation puts themselves smack dab right in action up against Fluxo, which is about to get caught out. Sabas on for the chase. That's the right gun. 16 medkits. What's he going to do with all of those?
Open a hospital at that point. Fluxo playing on that second floor. So Nova Legion going to be staying on ground level. I think the best play for Nova Legion, stay on ground level. Don't compete with Fluxo, especially on that high ground, unless you're in a position to maybe start things off with a knockdown. A knock is probably the best way for them to try and fight into such a fearsome team like Fluxo. So it's probably going to be a bit of a stalemate for a while until someone figures out what they want to do. But in the meantime, though, we do have EVOS nearby on that low ground. So if a full-on fight does break out, they could be inviting an uninvited guest in the form of EVOS. And actually, Gio going to be caught thanks to Floki. And that's a pretty big one as well because, again, that's a wasted buyback for Fluxo. And that's one of the big players out of the running. And there's another one, another knock.
Yeah, E1 Sports, I don't know where they are right now on the map, but they just took a knock on the player on the side of Fluxo. No pickups coming through just yet. If the play does expire, this is going to be unfortunate. E1 now, using the slide rails to quickly reposition just outside of TV Tower. They might decide to drop by and check out the situation as the third-party squad. And if they do, well, Fluxo might just get away with this because the distraction might be sent towards the way of Nova Legion. But either way, E1 Sports not looking like they want any piece of the action just yet. They keep an eye on RRQ instead.
Abe going to be shut down thanks to Vitin. So RRQ not going to have a smooth running for this game at all. And I wonder what the players here for RRQ, because this is definitely one of their slower rounds. They've been very inactive up until this point. It's basically just if anyone decides to shoot into them. But we'll have to find out later on. Yeah. Oh, they lost Ma'al though. They lost Ma'al to clear vision. That's a very big knockout for the team.
Yeah, a quick recovery for sure is needed for the side of RRQ.
To lose another one.
Yeah, I think we're missing out quite a bit of action here, and RRQ is happy that we're missing that action because they do not want to seem like they're getting pummeled right now. Abe out, good. The pickup is perfect. 3 players still intact. And Heavy does not get to reach them, but on the landing they do stick it with the glue wall. to protect themselves, and the Vietnamese squad will try to find a better angle to engage with RRQ. Oof, a lot of pressure on the Indonesian Giants.
Yeah, that was very scary. If Heavy was able to get another down there, I think that would have been basically crippling RQ for the rest of the game. But Heavy just unable to get that one bullet, that crucial bullet, to get that final knock. So RQ still in the running, but Heavy are possibly going to run into clear vision here. Very, very close. They're going to try and launch themselves a little bit closer towards that compound. I mean, if that happens, if they have a clear line of sight, clear vision could just shoot them as they fly in, and they do have the time turner at least. Okay, so the team is fine. They're fine.
Yeah, beautiful. First the binoculars and then sticking the time turner on the landing. Division had no chance to find the connections onto Team Heavy. Great rotation from the Vietnamese squad. Quick update here. Most revivals, Sebas, with the 2 on his side. And that's good. Not too many revivals for the squad as well. But RRQ still in need to bring Ma'al back into the fray here. Fortunately, they haven't found a vending machine, but they do find Movistar R7. Bad timing for RRQ.
Ooh, and that's going to be Dut's gone as well. So RQ back to two-man strong roster. This is going to be a really tough game for the team, unfortunately, but if they can try and figure out a way to recoup the team and get back into that circle, it is still a very possible dream for RQ to get another booyah today, but with movie stars around, it's going to be a really tough one. So in the meantime, as teams decide to sort of reposition themselves and get ready to find their placements in that circle, we can already see a small village of teams already occupying their own little compounds. Heavy going to be hiding under a small compound themselves under that, under the board. We have clear vision nearby, E1 and EVOS as well within that same vicinity. AG Global, I kind of feel bad for them because they are on the outskirts. If they try to make any move into that circle, once the next circle has been decided, they're going to have to fight through multiple teams to even have a chance of finding themselves a really nice spot to hide in.
The positive thing here is for Bangladesh, Redcliffe still hanging on. Haven't bumped into any big challenges just yet, which means their rotations have been very smooth. At the same time, no eliminations on the side of Redcliffe. This is something that they have to be wary about. They do need those elimination points to climb the leaderboard overall. Just depending on the placements is just not going to suffice if you want to be in the top 12 to qualify for the grand finals. Can you imagine how phenomenal it'll be if Bangladesh has one of their squads qualify in the top 12? I think the whole nation's going to go livid.
Look, I agree. I think the entire nation would be right behind them to give them that support. They just have to figure out a way to be able to consistently get the points needed to make it into top 12 to begin with, which we can already see based on game number 3, this team is trying to adapt their playstyle to find something that works. They went hyper-aggressive, kind of worked, but they also got eliminated quite frequently in that early games. They are trying to play a little bit slow. Speaking of slow, WAG have been playing incredibly slow this round, and they're about to lose T Quinn. He does get picked off, so all of a sudden, one of the major front runners for WAG is out of the game, and even Please One also got sniped in the back. Cyrus, the next one to follow, and I think we're about to lose WAG. Oh man, what a painful way to go out.
Yeah, but what a beautiful play there for Nova Legion. That VSK jump shot was just lethal. Popping the Steffi first just to make sure those nades can't touch them. Strategically approaching, flanking from both sides. And unfortunately for WAG, they just didn't have eyes on their back. Down by a man. Got overwhelmed in that situation. And now Fluxo up against EVOS. Ray and Kochil on that lower ground, cooking up that nade with Jester in hand for Kochil. Fluxo on the other hand, has to be careful here. Ray, headshot, Gio down on the ground, looking for that pickup, butches in, crosses in, takes the left hand side flank. At the very same time, at the weapons arsenal, Movistar R7 taking on RRQ, Joker, very sliver of health left on him, tops himself right back up. Time turner is there, but Movistar R7 isn't going to get away that easy.
Oh no, they don't get away at all. RRQ eliminate one of the assassins from the lobby. So Movistar's there out, but so is EVOS Divine as well. So we're now down to our top 8 teams, AJ, and some of the teams that are already gone. They are potential leaders for the lobby, and looks like we're going to be seeing another fight here as Nova Legion fly into Fluxo. Now, keep in mind, Fluxo, this team is quite spread, so if anything does happen to one of the players in Fluxo, they will not be able to reinforce each other. But the team is regrouping, and Nova Legion, can they find a way to sneak through the defensive there of Fluxo? Box is not feeling too confident himself, but good slow's going to be served thanks to Butson, so that might be the opening for Fluxo to finish things off if Nova Legion can't find anywhere to hide.
Yes, smooth one by MT7 with the Riptide Rhythm, just breaking down their defenses. But Nova Legion making sure they quickly sneak away. Not going to be put under pressure just yet, but they do share a compound still. A little bit outside from the next zone. They do have some time before the circle catches up with them. This is not going to be a fun encounter outside the zone. This is going to hurt. And AG Global's making that rotation. There is a high probability they do bump into either Fluxo or Nova Legion, or maybe even both as the third party here, as Nova Legion overtakes the rest to become the elimination leaders.
10 eliminations under their belt. This team is going absolutely ham. If nobody can stop them, they will potentially just be the ones to take the entire lobby. MT7 going to try and get one out of there. Geo, though, has been hitting the ground. Kuslo's been caught, though. Maybe this team has gone a little bit too ham here. Nova Legion down to 2 players. It's Sebast and Loki to hold the flag strong here for the team, but they do get rid of one of their major opponents. Fluxo is out, but they still need to deal with another team. E1 fighting up against AG, and Vitten is still on that ground. I don't know. I'm not feeling too good here for E1. They have to figure out a way to either beat through AG Global or just get on out of there. But it's so difficult because you have Nova Legion on the other side of E1 and poor Lion fighting for his life, trying to hide behind that singular glue wall.
Yeah, Nova Legion's about to get yet another point for themselves here. E1 way too low, and as anticipated, Sebastian is finding with the M590. 16 eliminations already. Nova Legion on a tear. Unbelievable performance out of the LATAM squad in the previous match, continuing to stomp everyone in this game 3 as well. AG Global up on top of the roof, Heavy right down below them, and Redcliffe still alive. When are they going to start picking up points? The time is right, they have to move.
They gotta move, but they only have so little room to work with, and it's kind of funny too because you have 2 players occupying a single household. Heavy on the ground floor, AG on the rooftop. Nova Legion though will be finally picked up. Unfortunately, the damage from earlier on was just much too much for the team to deal with. But with our top 5 teams in our next circle having already been decided, it's now going to be time for these teams to move, especially if they're trying to occupy some of this natural cover. And I mean, Clear Vision, I love their positioning so far. They are so far from the rest of the teams. As soon as anybody makes a move, they are in the perfect spot to come in and shoot them down.
Yeah, but Redcliffe just needs to think this one through. Moving first will just make them into a sitting duck. They will get shot at. They need to bide their time and play this absolutely well. Wait for AG Global as well as Heavy to start moving in first. Clear Vision on the other hand being pressured by the players of RRQ. Abay with a fantastic nade onto Dowley, takes him down, but the pickup is going to be attempted here by the players on the side of Clear Vision. For Bay, a sliver of health left on him. Bay needs to top his health right back up. M590, first one does not find the connection, but Time Turner, Riptide Rhythm breaking down the defenses as well. Perfect one from Clear Vision as Maham is taken down. Eke out with a sliver of health. Drogon could not save him. And what a fight by Clear Vision, but Redcliffe from the back takes advantage. This could not secure the elimination. Does get the double knock, but Heavy now stabbing Redcliffe in the back. The placement points are there for the Bangladeshi squad. Riptide Rhythm courtesy of Fahim. How is that going to help out the squad? As the rest of the Redcliffe players stand back, not wanting to engage just yet.
And Heavy, out of all the teams there, is the healthiest team as well. Oh boy, Clear Vision, they're going to have to start moving as well. Now we're going to try and rush in and pick off Heavy. This is the best case scenario for the team. If they try to wait, I feel like they're just going to be running into a team that's absolutely fed. So Clear Vision going to play aggressive. Heavy looking to stand back a little bit, and looks like Sharon thinking of maybe trying to fight into AG Global. We still have Du and Chino trying to hide within that compound. The question is, who's going to be the one to make that first move? Eunice still scouting things out for the team. Chino and Du still holding down the fort, and Heavy not wanting to make a move themselves. Who is it that's going to start? It might have to be the circle to decide who goes down first. And Chino first goes up and Du as well. Both elims going to Heavy. And now all of a sudden it's going to be a 4 versus 4 AJ between Clear Vision and Heavy.
Can Clear Vision finally make this recovery, make this comeback? In the first 2 games, they were absolutely nothing, only scoring an average of 0.5 points across the 2 maps. But now on fire with eliminations. Heavy now has split up into 2 sides. This is the opportunity for Clear Vision. They need to take advantage though. They flank on towards the right-hand side to meet Alan and Kabi first. Propay with the push, M590 in hand. Alan turns around, Sharin for the knock, but Mufasa finds him first. A big mistake by Clear Vision. Here comes the Glue UAV as well, just to barricade themselves a little bit more. Eunice drops by, Don't Cry joins him and just rushes straight in for the knock from the back. And Heavy is cleaning house, absolutely clapping the players of Clear Vision.
Heavy were just far too much for Clear Vision to deal with, and all based off the fact that their movements were perfect for that initial rotation.
Yeah.
We saw both teams going counterclockwise, and originally I thought Clear Vision were going to be the ones to be able to take the round, but I think the first mistake was leaving Sharon behind. Sharon really lagged behind the team, and we already saw as well Heavy, they were also making their own rotations, and so we saw the 2 players on Heavy take down Sharon. On the other side of Clear Vision, they did not get an initial elimination for their first rush, and from that point on, everything absolutely collapsed, because I think Eunice was the next one to go down for Clear Vision. Was out in the open, had no glue walls. I guess they didn't have any glue walls on them as well, so really just a sitting duck, praying that any of the existing glue walls was going to be there to provide the cover. But Heavy, I think they just did the better decisions in that late game. The fact that they waited and they let Clear Vision dictate the path of the fight, Heavy's reactions were on point.
And Heavy proving that Solara is not their weak map. Yesterday was just a one-off. Heavy walked away with just 1 point on Solara yesterday, but today, of course, it's a different story altogether. Just from the placements alone, they sneak away 12. Eliminations wise though, they were not the best squad out there, but all thanks to the final engagement, they had 4 extra points to pick up, so it was a very decent round overall for the Vietnamese squad, and Heavy continues to impress. Heavy might just be that team that guarantees themselves a top 12 spot just by the end of this day itself.
Well, Heavy's done really well today, I believe. They'd had no bottom finishes. They've been rather consistent. Yeah, maybe they're not consistently at the top of the leaderboard, but sometimes it's not about always being at the top. As long as you're towards the middle of the pack, you're getting those points consistently. When you do eventually get those big points in a couple of those rounds, that's just going to be enough to keep you within the top echelon of the leaderboard. So Heavy,
yeah.
I love that they are playing very quietly. Like, they are still a top contender within the competition, but they're not shining too much of a spotlight on themselves. Like, yes, this was the time for them to take that booyah, and they did it in the best way possible. So Heavy, gotta watch out for this team. You gotta respect them. You don't ignore them. This is a team that can come out of the woodworks and surprise you if you underestimate them.
Absolutely, and I think they were following the plan fairly well, right? Don't get into trouble very early on in the game. Just make sure you're well looted up so that when you do need to get into some heavy engagements, you've got the resources to carry you through some dragged out battles. And that's exactly what this Solara final battle was. It was just a lot of rotations involved in there. Without those glue walls barricading their backs, they wouldn't have even been able to engage with the players of Red Cliff initially out in the open. And it's just those small elements that make the biggest of difference. Unfortunately for for Heavy, though, they don't get as many eliminations as a squad called Nova Legion, representing LATAM. 16 eliminations, just 5 placement points, but gets them the total of 21. Clear Vision right behind them with the exact same number of 21 points, all thanks to, once again, the elimination. Clear Vision from MEA, Nova Legion from LATAM absolutely conquered this Solara map this time round. Heavy did manage to get the booyah, but of course, truly outshined by the other two regions. RRQ Kazu kind of keeping up with the rest of the teams in terms of points for the time being. So we've got a lot of hope for them, but I have to say, I am most impressed by the survivability of Redcliffe. What could have made this a little better for them was a few eliminations, which they almost got, but the follow-up was just not as clean as I expected to be.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, situationally, it was just a really tough place to be in because there was so much distance between all the teams as well. Like, you're kind of hoping to get that miracle headshot to grab some of those elims. But very top-heavy round here in terms of eliminations. Unfortunately for our bottom teams, they weren't able to grab those extra points because it had been hogged by most of our teams that did very well today. But we have finished 3 games already, ladies and gentlemen. So we are done and dusted with Bermuda, Kalahari, and Solara. We're getting ready for Purgatory, but we are at the halfway point. All the teams, they have already gone up that mountain. It's all downhill from here, but that this downhill is a very dangerous one because if you are not happy with your current placement on the leaderboard, you can't afford to mess around with these next 3 games because if you have, we've said this in the past, if you have a terrible play day, sometimes that play day is going to come and bite you in the butt because sometimes if you just didn't get enough points on one day, you're out. Your fate in the competition is decided by your opponent's performance.
Yeah. No doubt at all. And of course, just like that, we are halfway through this match day already. Unbelievably quick the matches today have been. And I have to say, teams down at the bottom, WAG, Hotshot Esports, they really have to start looking within and asking some big questions now. Even Redcliffe seems to be doing better than them just with those placement points and their plays. Obviously, surviving a little bit longer is great for Redcliffe, but as you can see, just 3 eliminations from 3 games. They've got an average of 1 elimination per map, which obviously is not going to cut it. Let's take a look at the active skill combinations here as well. We've got the Coda Nero Oscar Chrono combo coming out through from the side of Heavy, and this has really given them a great balance once again. They're really focusing on the aggressive part as well as the defense and information. You've got that Oscar, you've got that Chrono, so even if you go rushing on out, you're not going to get snuffed out that easy.
Yeah, no, I feel like not just that, I also have to bring out the loadouts. Same loadout that we've seen all day today, unfortunately. Still waiting to see a little bit of variety. But I feel like that, as you mentioned, right, the balance has been determined by not just Heavy, but I think every team that has played today. Like they've found their footing, they found something that has really worked for them, and we're starting to see the fruits of all of these teams' labours, getting ready for the tournament, having practiced with their characters, their loadouts, the choice of abilities for every single round as well. Especially on the world stage, you can't just play one build. You have to customize it for the teams in your lobby and also the playstyle that you want to bring into the games as well.
Yeah.
Our MVP for the round, though, ladies and gentlemen, it's Alan. 3 eliminations, 3,219 damage, and 4 assists. Has Alan been our highest damage MVP today? I feel like he may be.
He may be, but 3,000 definitely impressive for Heavy. The numbers in terms of the eliminations could be a little bit higher, but I'm going to accept this because this is coming out of Vietnam, and I'm very sure they're very nervous over all this. There's a lot of expectations because it's the region with the most number of players in this global finals, and they need to prove themselves. And WAG is just not getting the job done. Heavy has managed to pick up that responsibility and represent the region in a massive way. So you got to respect what Alan and squad is doing out there at the moment. Let's take a look at the highlights once again, Danny, and see exactly what ran in that matchup.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, it wasn't really Heavy that was the star of the show in that last round, right? It was Nova Legion. We saw lots of Nova Legion. We also saw a lot of Movie Star, R7 as well, when they were still around. Fluxo was also a pretty big heavy hitter too. But this is the final moment, right? Like, this was where you saw Heavy, very patient. I love seeing the team. Like, they could have run in and tried to join into this fight here, but they decided we're going to play it safe, we're going to play it slow, we get rid of the other target, and we let Clear Vision run into us. We react, and the reaction was perfect. So I think this was just a great way for them to secure that booyah and really establish their position in our groupings for today, because I think a lot of people are still kind of giving this team a bit of a side eye.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what we need in terms of the hustle out of these squads. And they're obviously doing their best. It's the global stage, and it's not going to be easy for sure. There are some teams who usually do well, who are finding a fair bit of struggle out there to maintain that consistency. And even if you look at Fluxo, getting to their top performance sort of ways with massive number of eliminations just isn't as easy as it used to be in the past. But of course, we've got our RRQ coming up for us with an interview in a little bit. But of course, we'll bring them to you guys but when we do come back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's going to be after a break, and of course more of this action will continue. Danny and I will catch up with you in a bit.
Alright, thank you, Caster. Survivors, we are now halfway through the matches, and right now, before we continue on, I am here with Dudes from RRQ Kazu to have a bit of a conversation. So how's it going, Dudes? Apa kabar? Hari ini gimana rasanya?
Rasanya ya belum tahu sih, kayak masih kurang aja sih.
Masih kurang. But feeling okay overall?
Yeah, okay.
But okay. So right now, RRQ Kazu is sitting on number 3 on overall standings with 43 points. How do you feel about your team form so far? Kalau ngelihat sekarang RRQ Kazu ada di peringkat ketiga dengan total 43 poin. Gimana nih kamu ngelihat form dari Kazu sendiri sejauh ini?
Ya lumayan bagus lah. Cuma kita di Cisamet masih bisa lebih bagus lah dari ini.
Okay, so he thinks that they're doing pretty good right now. He's not yet satisfied with the results that they have after the third game, but they will surely be doing more and better on the next 3 games that is left today. Speaking of the left games, can we talk about RRQ is also known in Seafall to perform very well in early games, but then slow down later on. How will the team prevent this from happening again in global finals? Kalau kita bicara mengenai RRQ Kazu sendiri kan seringkali kalian tuh gaspol dan kenceng banget di awal-awal pertandingan, di awal-awal turnamen, tapi kemudian slowing down atau temponya menurun di kemudian hari. Apa yang sudah mungkin kalian upayakan untuk bisa mencegah terjadinya hal ini lagi di global finals?
Ya lebih konsisten aja sih, jadi kayak belajar jaga tempo aja.
They're going to be more consistent. They're trying to keep up with the tempo and, of course, try to communicate better with the rest of the teammates. Last question. Do you think you can get more booyahs today, seeing that Vietnam successfully secured 3 booyahs yesterday on the first day of the knockout stage? Apakah kamu merasa RRQ Kazu bisa mengamankan booyah lagi, mengingat kemarin Vietnam total ada 3 booyah yang sudah diamankan sebagai perwakilan dari Asia Tenggara?
Ya kalau Buya sih ngalir aja sih, kayaknya masih bisa sih. Soalnya dari tadi cuma kesalahan-kesalahan kecil doang.
He thinks that he can still get it. He thinks that RRQ can still secure more booyah, seeing that the mistakes that they have were like small mistakes, and surely they can work on it on the last 3 games that we have today. All right, thank you so much, dudes. Good luck with the rest of the game. But now, let's go back to the highlight and see the actions for a bit.
Our co-streamers are here. Hello, everyone. So, we have met already times, right? Can you introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Of course. My name is Joachim. I'm straight from Brazil.
Hello, guys. I'm Kabu from Bangladesh, and you can call me It's Kabu.
So it's special that we have our 2 guests here from Brazil and Bangladesh. Such a long way from here, right? All right, then. So, how does it feel for you guys to be able to be here for the stage at Free Fire World Series Global Finals 2025?
It is such an honor to be here. Like, I feel privileged to be selected among a lot of streamers and to be cheering for all the Brazilian teams. So, big expectation. So, feels great.
Yeah.
What about you, Kabu?
This is the first time I'm coming to an international event, and it feels awesome, especially all the hosts here. They're very welcoming, and Bangladeshi people would love this opportunity a lot to cheer for their team while watching the live stream from the stage directly from Jakarta.
really agree with Kabu because like this is like the first time we can see a Bangladesh team in our FIFA World Series stage, right? So it's a very special thing. Again, thank you for coming, and we would love to have you guys here. All right then. So how do you feel about the team so far? So from Brazil, we have Fluxo, Team Solid, E1, and Bangladesh, we have Red Hawks and RC.
Well, I feel amazing. I mean, we are the actual champions, right? Fluxo is doing a good job here. We have E1 playing really well. Team Solid, all the Brazilian teams are playing regularly, which is very good for the competition, which is, in my vision, the most important thing. But I really believe that this first stage, the first days are going to be a little bit nervous. However, we're going to go through and doing our job what we came for.
Yeah, so for me or for us, I think this is one of hell opportunity, and we're trying. Our boys are trying. Sometimes the results are good, sometimes the results are not as expected, but they are trying, and they have brought Bangladesh to the world stage, and that's what matters the most.
All right, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. And I'm kind of curious about this. So the Free Fire esports scene in you guys' own respective regions. So what about the hype that everyone is giving for FIFA World Series right now? Because I think Brazil and Bangladesh are really hyped for this.
Oh yeah, it's the most expected moment of the year, right? Everybody train a lot, give their best, like through the whole year, the whole calendar to be here in Jakarta. And like I say, it's an honor to everybody, but the fight, I mean, it's just beginning, like can I say, because the process is like really, really hard. We're gonna have only 12 teams playing for the finals and only 8 teams play for the counter squad, the clash squad. But I really believe that this is expectation time is the thing that people are like really waiting for in Brazil.
And when it's for Bangladesh, this time 2 slots are given to Bangladesh, and people are really hyped. Yesterday, unexpected happened, the total watching viewership that was like way above the average, and everybody was going crazy for the teams. They were going crazy looking for the gameplays. And I think within a few years, esports scenario in Bangladesh, it will be totally changed. The aura of esports, it will be revealed properly, totally in Bangladesh.
Lovely to hear that. I think so many new things are coming to our FFWS season this year, and I hope that our next year will be a brighter one. So, is there any thoughts you want to send to the viewers in your region?
Well, I just want to say that to be ready because the show is just beginning. Like, I hope that Brazil can go through the whole 3 teams because this is what I'm cheering for. But I'm actually so happy to be here to see all these young players and good players and veteran players together and see the harmony of the show, which is, for me, the most spectacular thing that I've ever seen in a scenario of esports.
Can I say this in Bangla for the audience, for the Bangladeshi people? So guys, আমি তোমাদেরকে বলেছিলাম যে esports scenario এবং everything in the community সবকিছু বদলাবে। From 2021 to 2025 আমরা 4 বছর অপেক্ষা করেছিলাম এই মোমেন্টগুলো দেখার জন্য, and finally we are here in the world stage. আমি just তোমাদেরকে এটাই বলবো, be ready, be supportive, and let's dominate and let's show the world what we Bangladeshi people can do. Thank you very much.
I think this is very emotional for the Bangladesh region because this is the comeback is real, right? So I'm Yunso and wishing the best for our Brazil and the Bangladesh fans here, and also to every regions right here at the FFWS. Thank you so much to our you, and now
thank you.
Let's going back to our interview.
It's all down here, all downhill from here, folks, because our teams have already hit the halfway point. They've finished their first 3 games. They've got 3 more to go. 3 more opportunities to rack up those points. And we've said this right before the interviews. If teams are struggling now, you can't afford to struggle for these next 3 games. You need to get those points in. Otherwise, you might have what I would like to consider a regretful weekend. This is the world stage. You can't afford to regret your matches here, especially this early on in the competition. So my name is Annalie. I've got Mustachio AJ here as well by your casters for today. After casting 3 matches, I think we've kind of identified the top dogs of the leaderboard, but at the same time, I think there are some teams that have really surprised us. In your opinion, AJ, today, who do you think has surprised you with their performance?
Surprised me with their performance? For sure, Redcliffe, because I was expecting to be... Because yesterday I was really on the Red Hawks bandwagon, right? I wanted them to come out of the gates first, things survive a little bit longer. I didn't get what I wanted out of Red Hawks. And surprisingly, Redcliffe has been giving us that today. They've been surviving a little longer in comparison to Red Hawks, but what they're not giving me, though, is those eliminations. So I'm fairly surprised with the capability to survive in deep into these circles. I want to see more from them. I'm also surprised to see Nova Legion come out of the gates just absolutely bursting, ballistic with their eliminations. I mean, 38 eliminations so far in 3 matches. They are very consistent all throughout, right? So this is what we love to see. No booyah on their side just yet. But if they can continue on a trajectory like this, obviously finding the qualifier into the top 12 for the grand finals isn't going to be difficult for them at all.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? You already said the key word, the consistency. Like, if you are able to keep things going from here on out, Nova Legions, we could absolutely see them being one of our top 12 teams. But do they still have the gas in the tank to finish off the day strong? Because we're only halfway through the day, AJ. So even though a team is doing reasonably well here on out, if you kind of fumble the second half of the day, it kind of doesn't really matter what you did during the first half. So
yeah,
everything is going to come down to performance. Now, just a heads up, ladies and gentlemen, this is the overall leaderboard for teams in Group A, B, and C. And it's not going to be entirely fair because, unfortunately, only one grouping has played 2 play days. The other 2 groupings already played 1 play day. So just keep that in mind when you look at some of the teams in these groupings. Because at the top, it's mostly going to be a lot of our teams that have had their double days.
Yeah, and what's very impressive is Nova Legion, with their breakout performance in the first 3 maps, are already in the 10th spot, overtaking teams like Buriram and obviously WAG. But RRQ Kazu just hot on their heels as well. One decent game should put them in the exact same or maybe a little bit over Nova Legion. They just need to hustle a little bit more. We are expecting more from RRQ Kazu only because of that home ground buff. But also, speaking of the home ground buff, EVOS Divine, I did expect to see more aggression. I did expect to see Russia to just be popping heads out there with those long snipes, but I'm not seeing that out of EVOS today.
Okay, to be fair, I do blame Movistar's R7 for this because we saw them gun down EVOS, I think 2 games in a row. It was on both Bermuda and Kalahari. EVOS were basically their victims at that point in time. So maybe EVOS could have done better today. I kind of want to see what happens with Purgatory. If it has been an intentional decision from Movistars to gun down EVOS, or if it was maybe just a coincidence thing. Maybe both these teams just have similar pathing and they accidentally run into each other. Because yeah, I agree. I thought EVOS would do better today than RRQ. Just based off of historical facts of EVOS, I think this year I feel like EVOS did perform better than RRQ in the competitive season. And also just the inherent issue for RRQ where we've seen it in the past. I'm going to mention it again in case anyone did not hear our spiel at the beginning of the tournament. RRQ has issues dealing with pressure. Now, I don't think they're feeling pressure today. They're looking pretty good. So I'm not really too concerned with them yet. But deeper in the competition, I think that's when we're going to have to sort of laser in and focus on this team and figure out, have they nailed this major issue that has held them back in the past in major tournaments?
And so far, only 2 teams have managed to secure 2 booyahs in the competition, and that is from Vietnam. So Heavy is just having a wonderful run in the competition so far. And as far as RRQ is concerned, they've got some strong words for us, I hope, because we've got a quote out of the squad. Let's take a look at that. Mr. Dutz says, "We've come second so many times on the international stage, but never taken the win. This time, you're going for it. I want to win it here at home." You know what, Dutz? We want you guys to win it here on your home ground as well. But you've got your brothers EVOS, the champions of WC 2025, also wanting to do something like that. So it's definitely going to be a tough fight on their home ground up against their brothers. And if that wasn't difficult enough, the West seems to be absolutely kicking. I can't say it on broadcast.
Yeah, well, I maybe I'd be able to say it for you in a more family-friendly way.
Tell me.
The West has been kicking Indonesia down. I think that's probably the best way to put it, especially for today. They've been kicking the region down because RRQ has not been allowed to really thrive. EVOS has not been allowed to thrive as well. I kind of feel like today in particular, it's really been our Western teams. The Western teams have really stepped up, and unfortunately, the teams in the East, they haven't really found the best way to deal with our Western teams as of yet. Like, they're kind of struggling to pinpoint what the issue is and also how to deal with it.
The only team from the West that's at this point of time doing fairly poorly is Clear Vision Esports, right? But even as I say that about Clear Vision Esports, they just did have a decent game. In the first two matches, we didn't see them show up at all. In fact, it was quite a horrible run in the initial two games. But we just saw them take 21 points off of Solara. So that's a huge difference, right, as to what Bermuda and Kalahari brought them and Solara. I think there was just the first game jitters, at the start of the game, their debut, they were a little nervous. So I expect to see more out of Clear Vision Esports as well. Now that they've found their rhythm finally, they found their confidence, we want to see what they can continue to do. Next map is going to be Purgatory, and obviously huge map, giving teams a little bit of extra space to loot and maneuver around. And this is where Nova Legion becomes very, very dangerous.
Nova Legion gets dangerous, but I also feel like we also need to consider luck coming into play too. Because I think out of all the maps in Free Fire, Purgatory is probably one of the most luck-oriented maps in the game just because of the water, the rivers. If we end up getting those water circles, we have seen this in the past before, sometimes you're playing Russian, you gotta guess the right side. And you never know what the answer is, what the correct answer is, until that circle has been decided. And we've seen teams where they're basically positioned to win the entire game, and all of a sudden they're on the wrong side of the river. So, as great as you can play, I think sometimes you just have to consider Lady Luck as that invisible wall. It might probably block you or help you to get closer to your dreams.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Lady Luck sometimes does bless you with a little extra opportunities out there. We did see the weapons picked up by a couple of squads out there, especially RRQ on the initial drop. They had a blessed run. Movistar R7, fairly similar situation on Kalahari a little bit later on as well. But one of the things that really does create a luck for these players is their selection of those active skills. And what we just saw on the left-hand side of your screen, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the most used characters in the competition so far, Oscar literally takes the crown, right? That Valiant Dash, the capability to not just break down those glue walls, but also have a surprise factor showing up all of a sudden. Now that you get to beef up your glue walls with a glue UAV, you've got all sorts of thingamajiggies out there to buff yourself up. But this one character can really turn the pacing of the game. And to make things worse, he also bumps you out of the way if he does manage to come in contact with you. So in engagements in tight spaces, some of these rushers who have those flexible figures with those 180 turns on the M590 have been really able to abuse the Oscar to no end, and they're loving it.
Yeah, I think it's also a great example as to why we also see it banned in Clash Squad, because I think Oscar is a little bit too absurd. I don't know about you, AJ, but I kind of feel like would it make sense under certain tournament circumstances to have bans? Maybe all the teams participating throw their bans in, and they just decide, okay, we're not having these characters. Let's freshen up the game a little bit. Let's give us some options, because Oscar's ridiculous. I think just like back in the day where Tatsuya was that mandatory choice, and also when teams could have multiples, where we had 4 Tatsuyas, if they were given the option, I think teams would love to do the 4 Oscars, but that's the old meta. I kind of feel like Oscar is a bit too strong. Or if you want to keep Oscar, you got to add some stuff that's as strong as Oscar, please.
Yeah, the problem is the game is so balanced now that, if you remove Oscar, you still have a lot of viable options out there, right? You still got Skylar to annihilate all of those glue walls. Yes, the glue UAV does counter that a fair bit, but it still is a huge factor in terms of timing. You've got the Chrono for the defense, and even if you remove the Oscar, the Tatsuya is definitely going to come back very, very popular. The Rebel Rush just kind of zipping around on the battlefield, confusing your opponents. But of course, you need to have great mechanical skills to play around with characters like Oscar and Tatsuya. And thankfully, we get to see that on a level like this. Almost every single squad out there has had full mastery of what this game has to offer. But some teams are still struggling when it comes to the engagements, like the players on this side, Redcliffe. Beautiful shot. Hope does get the down onto Dowley. But unfortunate for him, two players take the shots at him at the very same time, and Clear Vision Esports will be able to secure the first elimination off of the player on Redcliffe.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Redcliffe, they got the immediate down. I kind of thought if that was a 1v1, that should have been a Redcliffe elimination. Just, sometimes you don't know how many players are in the vicinity, so a little unfortunate, but at least the team now has some vision and an idea as to where Clear Vision is. And maybe from now on they decide, okay, we're not going to go there anymore. We know a team is there, but I mean, the team is still quite nearby, so we'll see what the decision is going to be for them. But speaking of another team, we do have Heavy over here, just hanging out. No contest, which means it's going to be a pretty clear entry for Heavy to potentially run away with this game. And hello? What are these picks?
Well, it is Redcliffe currently clapping Fluxo. That's exactly what all the doubters needed. Smile a little bit. Even Fluxo's running away from Redcliffe at this point of time. Glue UAV just buffing up the glue walls dropped here by AG Global as they hunt down the players on the side of Movistar. Games King has this car in hand, going up against two players. Grenade though by Cypher. Needs to play the timing right, cooked it up perfect. Oh, it just misses that opportunity. Games King will be able to burst out of their hacks. Flanking around from the right-hand side. It's a 2v3 at this point of time before the rest of the players on the side of AG come flanking on in as well. Electrotherapy pumping Cypher up. It's got the capability to engage here because of the backup on the side of Barros. And gets his glue wall smashed down by the Riptide Rhythm. Cypher, MP5 in hand. And a fantastic circle around as Barros drops hacks, but the flank from Games King. Mag 7 to the head. And Hotshots off screen has been removed from the map.
Yeah, I believe they dropped to RRQ on the other side of the map whilst this skirmish has been happening. I have to say AG, though, at least they were able to make that recovery happen, as unfortunate that Cypher and Chinwei kind of failed that initial rush.
No.
As, Redcliffe, they're going to lose 5 teams here. Foxo's mad. So they're not happy about that cheeky elimination before they say, get out of here. Get out.
Okay, Redcliffe almost annihilated Fluxo, right? So that's how we're going to keep the story
it's
going.
Just the one elim. It's just the one elim. They say, no,
Fluxo ran away from Redcliffe. You all saw that. But of course, they turned around and they said, wait a minute. This is not how the story is supposed to go. And now Redcliffe hanging on by their little pinky finger at the very edge of this cliff, about to get eliminated from this lobby. One more survivor, probably hunting for some coin machines to bring his brothers back. But Dew, he ran across the battlefield, had no idea, as well as no backup, but Chinoy had more than enough coins to bring him back.
Yeah. Really unfortunate, actually, that AG Global weren't able to bring down Movistar's R7, because at the moment I feel like the lobby is at the mercy of this team. Anyone that Movistars runs into, they generally are able to just sort of steamroll them and take them out of the lobby. So if AG removed them from the competition, I kind of feel like that sort of opens up the game for anybody to really be able to come in and take that booyah. Now E1 losing that 1v1 Lion. He thought about it. I mean, Vitten is there to pick him back up. They do eventually get the elimination, but that was a little painful to watch.
I just want to see more from Redcliffe, man. Is that too much to ask?
It might be.
It's all right. It's all right. There was one point of time where Vietnam was not getting a single elimination out there on the battlefield. So we're going to just stick it to that. And now look at Vietnam. 4 squads on the global finals, looking for a spot in the grand finals itself. This is exactly what sort of a inspiration Bangladesh needs to continuously dominate in the future competitions. But of course, for the time being, they can continue to dominate their own local league first as they sharpen up their skills. E1 Sports, though, sharp shots from afar. Movistar R7 losing a player, but not losing their pacing on the leaderboard for this matchup. 5 eliminations already on their side.
Yeah, it was a bit of a trade between the two teams, hence the one player lost for both sides. Now, Fluxo looking to fight into heavy in a very dangerous territory as well. So I have to say, the confidence in this team to run into a heavy infested compound, if they're able to break through this, they can potentially not only take a really good spot for themselves, but grab 4 points as well. Jiu trying to find that opening. He has the ice grenade, just going to keep them sort of zoned in with the compound, but heavy. They have abandoned ship. They have thrown down so many glue walls, so it is going to be a little bit of a maze that Fluxo has to fight through. Kabi is back inside the compound. Blitzen, though, wanting to infiltrate into the back line. He manages to catch out Mufasa. Doesn't quite do damage to finish him off, though. And now Fluxo, they're in knee deep in through heavy, and it's 1-1 so far. Blitzen for Kabi, but Kabi does get picked up. They are going to try and go for the pick one to Blitzen, but Jiu goes down. Fluxo maybe getting a little bit too aggressive with this fight into heavy.
I mean, they are still keeping up with them, though. Toe-to-toe. Bob's MD7 backing away. Allen has got the grenade launcher. Just needs a good pop here. Tosses it out. Kabi needs to get picked up, but Bob turns things around with the MP5. The grenade launcher just wasn't used to perfection in a heavy pace. The big price for it almost took down the reigning champions Fluxo, but the battle will continue on the opposite end of the battlefield. WAG and EVOS now continues the fight. Deep freeze tossed out perfectly, tagging up the EVOS players.
Yeah, and whilst all that happened as well, Movistar were actually eliminated from the round. So one of our major kill leaders is gone from the competition, AJ. So all of a sudden, some of these teams, I think, are going to be feeling a sigh of relief knowing that one of these monster teams is no longer going to be a threat coming into these next couple of circles. Now, speaking of the fight on the screen at the moment, WAG is trying to find a way into Evo. It looks like AG going to be fighting into...
What?
Oh my gosh, what in the world was that connection?
Yeah, Floki just single-handedly flanking around. Super brave, gets tagged up though, and pays a big price for it. Cypher with the M590 will be able to find a little bit of revenge. And now Lopez, AWM from afar. Cypher has the BSK. It's all about the timing here. Drops a perfect glue wall. Lopez with an opportunity, but the grenade on the side of Cypher. Goes in for the toss. Doesn't find that perfect connection just yet, but it's a 2v1. And Lopez goes down. Cypher wins that out. And finally, somebody does put a little stop to Nova Legion's run.
And another team that was put to a stop was EVOS. I do believe that was because of the initial skirmish with WAG as well, AJ. So we are now down to our top 6 teams for the round, and this is early as well. We're only at our second circle, so teams are playing hyper aggressive this round. The odds of this round may be ending before the last couple of circles. I still think we are going to be going the distance, but I think teams are now starting to recognize that they need to chase these eliminations now. They need those elimination points because we are now down to our last 3 games. And the last 3 teams remaining, I mean, these are our top teams on the leaderboard so far. These are teams that are knowing that they have a really good chance of being able to place high on that overall leaderboard, chasing the top 12.
Absolutely. And once again, that highlight earlier on between the players, Cypher, AG, Global, shutting down Lopez, the shotgun player versus a sniper, and the M590 still wins out that bout. I mean, perfectly played by the guy. And AG now moving on forward with 6 eliminations. Now, Fluxo, on the other hand, 7 eliminations in hand. High probability to come across RRQ, but they're going to take that flank into the next circle, moving in towards that left, and that should keep them in a safe distance away from RRQ.
Yeah, RRQ though will be, I think they can just see the vehicle there for Fluxo, so they're more or less ready to fight if that fight does eventually come to them. But the compound is unfortunately not that great for RRQ. They will have to navigate up a little towards the northern section if they want to go within that circle, but they're in a really good spot to potentially gatekeep Fluxo if they can find a good spot for themselves. Unfortunate story for the teams though towards that top right hand corner. Anyone that is on that side of the river needs to make it to the east, needs to make it to the western side now, because if they don't get across that river now, I think that's just going to be the end of the run for them.
Fluxo looking solid on their approach here. As far as the utilities in their backpack is concerned, they are ready and geared up for multiple back-to-back battles. And they do have the mechanical skills to pull that off as well. But AG Global up against E1 Sports. This was an encounter they did not expect by the looks of this landing. Vintage Surprise pulls out the time turner. Cypher rushes straight in for that battle through the window, looking for the connection. Neither one of those players finding it. Leon versus Cypher, both with the M590s and both missing those crucial shots. But of course, neither one taking the bitter end of the stick just yet. But like shooting fish in the barrel, a couple of grenades can really put AG Global in a pickle.
I'm not sure if I'm really a fan of this play coming out from AG though, because they're using a crazy number of blue walls to try and increase their survivability line very, very low. It could be Vitten to be the one to break through. They still have Vitten shooting through the doorway line though, just around the corner. Will be able to heal on up, and Pal staying his distance towards the outer edge of that fishing hut. So for now, AG, they do successfully protect their compound. But for how much longer? And where is that next circle going to be? Because I fear right now, AJ, they fight for this compound, but look where the circle is. It's on the other side of the river. They have to fully commit, because if they don't do it now, they will be chased into the water anyway. And on the high ground, on the rooftop, E1 are looking to take down AG.
Yeah, this fight has gone on for a little bit too long. Both E1 as well as AG in a little bit of a pickle now, because the circle is going to be moving in about 10 seconds. Riptide Rhythm from afar as well, breaking down the defenses of AG Global, and it looks like another team wants to interfere in this battle. And AG backs away. It's a 4v3. AG Global still has the advantage here. You stepping on out. Has to be careful, because from the opposite side, Clear Vision Esports has got clear vision as to what Dew is doing. Lion circling around in a 1v2 M590. This one just got dragged out way too long. Bye-bye E1 Sports, says AG Global.
Yeah, E1, they just didn't have the necessary resources to break through the glue walls from AG Global. So
GG.
AG, they take the compound and they're going to have to find their way across, but also fight through Clear Vision themselves. RRQ in the meantime, though, on the rooftop, and they have a really good line of sight for all of the teams remaining within the competition. So now the question for RRQ is, what is their game plan? Do they want to deploy that very aggressive style, or do they let the rest of the teams do the work for them and then they come in to clean things up? And AG looks like they successfully make it across the river.
Yeah, but Dew, though, still manages to take Dowley out of the equation. Great play by Dew. Chinoy gets traded out. Dew needs to join the rest of his team members. Has got a Superman on hand, but it looks like Probay, as well as Sharin, is going to try to keep them at bay outside the circle. AG has been forced to run once again, but Probay is going to get clipped. Cypher! Found by Probay from afar. Unbelievable plays out of Probay. Younes backing him up as well. Using the zone, extra damage on their side for the perfect advantage. And that's more than enough to clear AG Global out of the lobby.
Oh man, unfortunate. But I think that also gave us a really good story. The team probably ran out of blue walls. They just did not have any to protect themselves from that initial onslaught. So now, top 4 teams, AJ, 15 players in the lobby. We're only missing one player on the side of Clear Vision, so it could go anyone's way. It's just a question of the next moves here. And RRQ deciding to go down. Ma'al is on the ground. Is Fluxo going to give them the time of day to pick up their teammate, or are they going to try and rush them? It looks like they want to try and go for a gatekeep instead. Gio running ahead along with Woodson. Time to go over the pickup. Abe is going to be the next one to hit the ground. RRQ going to be cut down before given an opportunity to even pick up their teammates. And that's going to be it. RRQ is gone. We're now down to our top 3.
Yeah, that was a perfect play from Fluxo. Abe went in there for the save onto Ma'al, which initially was dropped by that fantastic grenade out of Fluxo. And the follow-up was just picture perfect. They snuff out one of the more threatening squads from this lobby. And now Fluxo can gear up for a booyah of their own. How much of effort is it going to take them? Because if they do, this will be their second booyah, and they'll equalize with Heavy the number of victories that they've gotten in the competition so far. Bob's now on the flank, and now they're playing with fire, but it looks like the circle is going to be moving towards Fluxo, so this is just going to be dragging all of those squads to them.
Ooh, WAG, they're being shot
What a
at two
nade.
angles, and that's gone. Clear Vision and Fluxo. Oh my gosh, the aggression coming in from Bobs. He's already running through the warehouse, but Clear Vision, they want to try and meet with Fluxo on the other side. I don't know if I agree with this. Probate on the ground. Units,
Oh,
I think
nice.
they sort of hit the ground. I think that's going to be it. AJ Fluxo
Yep.
looking to grab the booyah for themselves for game number 4.
What a play. Fluxo just looking to dominate, and they do exactly that. And this is the version of Fluxo that everybody has been waiting to see. And they managed to prove themselves on Purgatory this time round. Yesterday, this just wasn't the map for them. They literally walked away with no points. So some may have made the assumption that, all right, this is the map where we get to catch Fluxo off guard, make sure we flush them out, they don't get any points here. This is where we can steal away maybe a little bit of a lead over Fluxo. But today seems to be a totally different story. Not only do they recover, but they walk away with a impressive booyah.
An impressive booyah, and I think the most important thing here is some reassurance to some of the Fluxo fans out there, because Fluxo today compared to yesterday, they definitely did much better in yesterday's matches. Today they struggled, but they're still showing that they can take their games, and I'm really glad for this team, because I was a bit worried that they might have gotten a little bit overwhelmed, maybe they got tired, maybe the food, kind of kicked in, considering the comments from the Indonesian team. I don't know how true that is, but Fluxo just proving to people that they are world champions for a reason, and they're not going to sit idly by as people compete for their title of world champion. And I love Fluxo's playstyle. I really love how they try to take their fate into their own hands by rushing in, going for those fights, and basically setting the tempo up for their team rather than play reactive. I think that's something that's really set Fluxo apart from some of the other teams, their aggressiveness to force people to fight into them rather than vice versa and waiting for other people to decide how the fights basically turn out.
Yeah, strategizing on the battlefield, I think Fluxo is just one of those main squads who are able to do it absolutely perfectly all the time. This time around, I think everything was going their way, right? They had the best of loots, they had the best of positions, they didn't make any wrong moves whatsoever, not too aggressive, but they were not afraid to walk into a battle even if they were not needed in that situation at all. And one good example of that was the engagement with WAG. They knew the circle was going to come to them, they could have just played that defensively, but no, it was all about the initiative. They took those nades, they chucked it at WAG, followed up with some VSK shots, and it all went their way, and they took the fight to Clear Vision as well. And this is the version of Fluxo which is actually quite scary because they are unstoppable in this mode. And once again, just when you thought that Purgatory could be their weak map, they just turned up with a booyah the very next day to show that, no bro, it was just a fluke yesterday. We are one of the best. We are the world champs for a good reason.
Yeah, world champion buff. I think that's what really happened in that situation. World champions buff, you think it's over, but they prove that they are the top dogs for 2024 for a reason. And this is a huge jump in points for Fluxo as well. I do believe this is the highest points accumulated to date in a single round. I don't think we've seen any teams hit 30 yet. So Fluxo is going to be holding the record for today. But again, I think this is a perfect representation of how Fluxo just plays. They love eliminations. They love fights. And if they can force one at every corner, they will.
Yeah, I mean, they've done exactly that. And of course, if you look at All Gamers Global, this was a great game for them. 6 points, a little low, but they do buff themselves up with those eliminations. Down at the bottom, though, Hot Shots Esports continues to struggle in the competition. No eliminations, no placement points. Red Clip at the very least got that single elimination earlier on, but even their run got cut down very, very quickly. Heavy, EVOS and Movistar getting taken out early alongside Nova Legion. Definitely a surprise. As of all of those maps, I definitely did not expect to see it on Purgatory. We kind of sliced it down to just 6 squads so quickly on that map. I think by the time we reached that 6-7 minute mark, we already had half of the teams out of the lobby.
Yeah. We had so many teams get eliminated so early in our previous round. I don't expect that to happen on Next Terra, but sometimes the teams, they could prove us wrong. The overall standings for today, though, this is starting to tell a story of where our top cut is and roughly where our teams that are kind of struggling are. I kind of feel like it's chopped in the middle, AJ. It's like we either have our top 6 or we have our bottom 6, right? E1 currently holding the red tape for everyone else, saying, hey, if you're top 6, you're in a really great position. So I think something that's going to shock people is probably the placement for EVOS Divine. I think a lot of players, a lot of viewers expected EVOS to do a lot better today, but the team has really just struggled. What's happened to EVOS? Like, did they just have a moment where they're just a little bit shell-shocked? I know earlier today we spoke about this, that Movistar's R7 also kind of set the team back, but that game, it wasn't because of Movistars, it was because of WAG.
Absolutely. We'll take the breakdown on those teams in a little bit. There's also a very curious thing in front of us here. The usage of the A124 is actually quite rare these days, but this is what Fluxo is focusing on, right? Go in there, disable the active skills of your opponents, and in the worst case scenario, since they are abusing those grenades and the grenade launcher, GU brings in that Steffi to block out all of that nade damage, and you can see exactly what the squad is kind of like thinking overall. MT7 as usual performing very well with the snipes and the long range engagement. 6 eliminations for the guy. Bobs is nailing the living life out of everyone all the time, and Butch is in with the crazy engagements as the rusher of the squad. At this point of time, Fluxo looks unbeatable, except for a few engagements out there where it was a little questionable, but they are proving to be quite lethal out there with their plays.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of lethal, we see Bobs on the screen, our MVP for the game. As you mentioned, using that A124. This probably explains why Fluxo has also been just playing so crazy today, like so forward, because I'm not sure about the other games, but the fact that they have A124 and Steffi together, they have so much initiation power between Bobs and GU just to set up with the rest of the team that I think if the teams have this knowledge, you kind of have to adapt your playstyle if you can figure out that you're fighting against Fluxo. Because aside from Fluxo, is anyone else running Steffi? I know A124, this was the first time we've seen it today, but is anyone else really running that Steffi? Because I don't think our other Booyah teams have been running Steffi.
The other Booyah teams are not, but a few of those squads out there definitely are. Steffi's very crucial at a stage like this. But let's take a look at the circle analysis here, because a few teams, and like we said earlier, dropped out way too early. By the time the end of the circle 2, we had already lost a total of 5 squads. And obviously that just continued to move on after that, right? And RRQ getting quite far in all the way until the 5th circle. This couldn't go any further. Fluxo, you guys just saw it, the way they took that phenomenal finisher, getting that Booyah in this map to prove that Purgatory is not one of their weak spots was truly impressive. And WAG, of course, making a little bit of an adjustment to their rotations to improve their stats in the gameplay. I didn't think we would see WAGs all of a sudden improve on this Purgatory map, but I'm glad to see them at the top.
Yeah. I think we're all really glad to see the team at the top. I think we're glad to see some of these teams in particular actually playing so well and performing so, basically ranking so highly on that leaderboard for their potential. For some of these teams, it's also for their first play day. Some of these teams, it's also their second play day. But I think a lot of our first play day teams, really, really impressive performance for their first day and basically setting up for their games tomorrow. Because just a heads up, ladies and gentlemen, we still have some more Free Fire action tomorrow. Okay, so today's not the only day. We are also going to be having our final groupings for week 1 for tomorrow's matches. So I think there's a lot of stuff to now think about, not just for teams that are finalizing their last 2 games for today, but also for teams getting ready for tomorrow. They got to figure out what their issues are. They have to polish them in these next 2 games, if possible. Secondly, I think they also need to figure out, okay, we can't, we've seen this in the past before, teams that stay with a very static play style, they tend to fall off in these group stages because they get figured out very, very quickly. So now it's a question of, what do we do different for tomorrow's games so that we don't get punished for a team that's done their homework? Because let's be real, we're on the world stage. Everybody here is doing their homework. No one's just going to rock up to the matches and just play like an everyday game of Free Fire. There's money on the line. There's a title of world champion on the line. So you have to do something different for that next play day. Who for tomorrow's matches? Let's take a look at the teams playing tomorrow in particular, right? What do you need to do differently tomorrow so that you are going to have a successful play day? That you can use the next 2 games as practice for?
Well, get all of your eliminations, and no better place to find those eliminations than Nextera. That's going to be game number 5. Every single game thus far has had a unique Booyah winner, and of course a couple of them managing to make it a double, and that is Heavy and Fluxo. The important thing here is yesterday, Heavy walked away with the Nextera Booyah. It was a very decent round from them. We did see Fluxo get close enough to the Booyah as well, but unfortunately they got taken out in that 3rd spot. So these 2 teams who just got the Booyah back to back are definitely teams to watch out for right after this.
Yeah. Now, I do believe we have a short video to show you folks at home, so let's have a look before we jump into match number 5. Oh, it's not quite ready yet, folks, but I do believe it is now officially ready. So let's have a look at this quick video before we jump into our next match.
Pressão, acho que não. Acho que a gente meio que... A gente vê na nossa mente de trabalhar dobrado porque são muitos times querendo o título que hoje se encontra com nós, mas também a gente tem que correr atrás de querer buscar mais, né? Então a gente, no Brasil temos 3, agora a gente tem que conseguir o quarto título. Mano, acho que não tem muito o que dizer não, é só tipo, a gente treina bastante até mesmo pra poder ouvir essas coisas também, que significa muito que os times meio que têm um medo de nós e respeitam muito, e a gente trabalha muito pra ouvir essas coisas, e é tipo, muito bom.
And obviously, yeah, Fluxo wants to make sure they go out there to prove themselves. This is something we do expect them to do, and they have already done it, right? Fresh off of a Booyah, they want to go back-to-back here at Nextera. Again, it's not a map where they're weak at. In fact, they showed their proficiency here. They could pick up decent number of eliminations, get deep into the map early yesterday, and it was not an easy lobby yesterday. Today looks a little bit more lighter on Team Fluxo, so I don't doubt they'll be able to do that again.
I wonder if it's just the fact that they've removed 2 problem teams of Fluxo. Falcons and Booyah. They were an issue for some teams yesterday, but now that they're not present today, do you kind of feel like removing these 2 teams, maybe these 2 playstyles from these 2 regions sort of clash, where Fluxo struggle, but once they're gone, they kind of have free reign over the lobby.
Yeah, and you know, we also understand that Team Fluxo, they are looking to keep the trophy in Brazil as well. You know, a lot of qualified teams are looking to really shut them down and run away with the competition, run away with the trophy, maybe even bring the trophy to the east. But as far as they are concerned, they know everybody has got their eyes on them, so they have really tightened up their gameplay. It's really impressive to see MT7 and squad kind of kicking things up to the next level here in 2025. But of course, let's take a look and see exactly what breaks down on Nextera as we gear up for game number 5 here on day 2 of our knockout stage.
Yeah, our second last map of the day. This is one of our last 2 rounds to grab points. If there's a team that is aiming for a certain number of points and you haven't hit it yet, you've got to work hard for these next 2 maps. So we'll have to see what happens here. I want to see if anyone decides to kick it up a notch and decide to just play hyper aggressive from the get-go. Are we going to see hot drops? Could we maybe see a three-way hot drop? Do we see a team maybe sort of think about trying to go for a bit of a very aggressive vulture play? We don't know. At the moment, though, it looks like the map is pretty clear, so lots of respect from all of our teams across the board. Nobody wanting to risk their position for now.
Let's see exactly who risks their early elimination with a little bit of a premature bout. I'm very happy to see that not many of them have gotten into a little bit of a tussle, but Hot Shots are taking shots at RRQ already. And obviously that's not really good for business. And as I talk about that, Ekal drops actions down on the ground. Headshot is perfect. Sajid has the MP40. Ekal has the double barrel though. But here comes Ma'al for the backup. And the sniper just picked up a shotgun and put down his opponent, Anas. Just couldn't get the deed done for the rest of his team members. I don't know if or not he managed to pull off a revival there. He was at the vending machine for an extra second. A Bay Charge Buster turns in and out. Drops one more player, but obviously sure the revival was a successful one because Hot Shots are still in the lobby.
They're still in the lobby. I don't know how many revives they were able to get, unfortunately. So we'll check up on them a little bit later, though, as we switch on over to Movie Stars. As they get a pick-up. Hot Shots are gone! Hot Shots are gone! Oh, what a devastating start for Hot Shots in this round.
And it looks like Redcliffe is about to follow up as well in terms of being eliminated from the lobby because of all squads they've dropped in right beside E1 Sports. And by the way, patch update, we've got a new weapon in the house, the Winchester. High risk, high reward marksman rifle fires in 2-round bursts for high precision damage and great for those mid to long engagements on those battlefields. Also upgradable so that when you reload your gun, instead of just reloading 2 bullets at one go, you can reload up to 6 at a go. This enabling you to have those engagements in a dragged out manner, even if you miss the first couple ones. Rex, not too easy of a fight up against Vitin, who had the Trogon in hand. AC-80 as well, straight to the head. And Redcliffe are just finding no room whatsoever to get away from this stressful situation.
Yeah, a bit of a tough early game for the team. I mean, they did get the buyback, I believe, on one of their players. They lose hope here. We'll have to see if our team still has the money to go for that secondary buyback. I believe at the moment they probably don't. So, yeah, Redcliffe's in for a bit of hurt for the next couple minutes until the team can stabilize. Speaking of stabilize, though, we've got RRQ holding down the fort next to AG Global. But they haven't fully revealed their position yet, though, so I think the teams are just going to kind of leave it there. But we're seeing Heavy fly on through into EVOS. And I don't think that's where you want to be, Alan. If you can leave, that would be great. But Vitin's going to make that a really impossible task, especially after just being able to spot him out. So now this is just a really awkward spot for all these teams. Very open, very easy possibility of being sniped.
The EVOS finding the players of E1, at least one of them. And Heavy's in the vicinity as well, so this is going to be the distraction for EVOS, and E1 Sports will be able to back away from the situation. Leon showing his back to the EVOS player as he tries to get away with faster M590. LMG in hand as well that he uses to take the rest of the life off of aimbot. But an instantaneous revival coming through from the sniper of the squad, Rasia Kochil, with a knock on to Don't Cry. The rest of the EVOS members are still here. And I have to say member because it's all about the Kochil play now. This is the distraction. And E1 Sports are not waiting. They are on the approach. Heavy might just have a little bit of company shortly.
Kochil almost losing his life as he flies away. But I can't really say the same thing for Mufasa and Alan as these two players do get dropped. E1, though, still in the area right next to EVOS. A very dangerous place to be for Vitin, but barely manages to survive, thankfully. So we'll be able to heal back up. Yeah, this is just a really awkward spot for all these teams. E1, Heavy, and EVOS. There's not really any safe places to be. Is Mufasa going to be shot at again by Vitin?
Oh my.
He shows himself. Mufasa, though, has been caught by Bops. And you think you're safe, and Fluxo just comes out of the shadows.
Yep, bibbidi bobbidi. There's just no way you get away from that one. Heavy is just in an unfortunate spot, surrounded by 3 strong squads. Replied Rhythm, breaking down the defenses. As RRQ tries to circle on around, cutting the distance. They want to take the fight up to Clear Vision Esports, throwing in the glue wall melters first. Dutz brings in the grenade launcher. This is going to be a big opportunity for him. Tosses one nade in, gets a double knock. And Dutz takes himself right out after that phenomenal assistance in for the rest of his team members. This is unfortunate. RRQ, luckily Abe is there. And the rest of them clear shop. Clear Vision Esports just could not hang with RRQ this time round.
Oh man, RRQ cutting hopes and dreams for some of these teams, especially this early on as well. You don't want to be losing your entire roster. But at least Clear Vision, they do pick up 2 points before they go down. So now they just have to hope everyone else is not able to pick up those points and continue to surpass them for the round. But RRQ though, this is hope for our teams and our fans that are supporting this team. RRQ's had a pretty interesting day today. Not remarkable, but they are scoring enough points to be considered one of the top teams in the lobby. As long as they don't get sloppy. That is the thing I'm a little bit worried about here. As long as they can keep it clean, don't get too sloppy, RRQ have a really great chance at securing a booyah today. And being the first team to secure 2 booyahs in a singular day. And with E1 flying right by, this could be where RRQ solidify themselves as a leaderboard monster.
And Barros taking out Lopez. House down.
Thanks to
Nova Legion.
Thanks to Fluxo. I have to say, a lot of the eliminations on the board we've been seeing, it's from Fluxo. Even though they're not present on our screen, they've been doing so much work off screen to cut down these teams. And AG looking for Floki here. Nova Legion not going to be too happy if they lose Floki. He's going to try to go for the juke. Kuzma is nearby though. Cypher's going to go down. Chinoy though will be there to provide support. And Baros. Thanks to Baros, able to save his teammate. So Floki, unfortunately, is not going to be savable, and now it's going to be Kuzlo. Next one to potentially go down, unless maybe he can punish Baros, but he's done a really great job at juking so far, and here comes Dew to provide that support fire. And there goes Kuzlo.
I mean, Kuzlo was just too slow in that sequence, but obviously outnumbered by the AG global flank as well. And incredible play by Baros. He could have just gone in there very recklessly, understanding that they do have the numbers advantage, but he did not make such a mistake, making sure to back away, calling for backup, and then playing the numbers advantage up against their opponent. And Nova Legion won't be having much of an issue because, of course, the rest of the team members were away from that compound. So Cluso gets brought right back in as the circle squeezes us in a little bit tighter for a bigger group hug.
Yeah, big group hug. We've got too many teams around, AJ. We've got to get someone to go. There's not enough room anymore. But we are seeing EVOS on the screen and WAG. Very close vicinity, so anyone catches sight of anybody, we could be seeing some punishes. Here's Fluxo, though. The team to probably watch out for in this particular map, and they've been doing so much work hunting players, eliminating teams. I think the question is, who are they going to run into first? Who's going to be their poor victim? We have a launch pad here, and they're thinking, okay, where do we want to go? Do we want to go dead center, or do we want to play around the outer edge? And so far, it looks like the outer edge is the play here for Fluxo, so they're not going to be playing too fast, which... I don't know, AJ, are you content with this play from Fluxo? I kind of feel like they're playing a little bit too slow now for map 5.
Yeah, I mean, this circle's just not going to damage them at all. Probably just tickle them a little bit. They'll giggle, and not be bothered by that situation. Just buying a little bit of time, waiting for the rest of the teams to move on in first. Probably take a drop on them. I'm very sure the Dinoculus was used in that situation, just to make sure the area that they do want to jump into is absolutely clear. AG Global, on the other hand, using the Dinoculus over a boxing gym, scanning out a squad, but intending to take the opposite route towards the left to avoid confrontation so early. But this next circle is not going to be with them, and they've got 24 seconds to sort this out and maneuver their way around.
Yeah, I feel like AG, they are trying to dodge fights because of how basically everything has really happened for this team today. We haven't seen AG win any of their skirmishes, I believe, which is why they have been knocked out in all of their matches for today. So I guess the play here for AG, play it safe, try to survive for as long as possible, and then try to go for that winning blow. They just got to survive whilst the competition thins itself out a little bit more. And speaking of thinning out heavy, they're looking for their next victim. I was thinking if it's going to be WAG, maybe it's a possibility. They fly on in there. Oh, it's on the high ground.
Yep,
Okay,
take a robo head
Heavy.
up top, and to get down, we know Heavy strategy. They're going to be calling out that
EVOS.
monster truck in a little bit, but Fluxo up against EVOS on the other hand. My goodness me, Fluxo's just pushing out team after team like they are absolute waste. 6 eliminations already, and they're not even challenging jump squads. That was EVOS of all squads with a home ground buff, and Fluxo made that look like it was no fight at all.
Yeah, Fluxo is on fire this round. I think unless anyone is capable of stopping them soon, or at least being able to cripple the lineup somehow, I feel like they're just going to steamroll this game. And at the moment, there are 2 teams I'm looking at that could potentially be that brick wall to stop Fluxo's game plan from working. Movistar's R7 and RRQ. These are the 2 teams I'm expecting to somehow stop Fluxo, because if they stop their assault, I think that's it. The entire lobby is at the mercy of Fluxo.
Oh, it looks like our free cam observer is showing off here his skills. Man, he must have been practicing quite a lot to pull that off. I love the aerial view here, giving us enough information of the situation in this really tight compound. AG Global cutting down the distance between themselves as well as RRQ, but Ekal on standby. Glue wall melter laid out. Ekal backstab, big opportunity. He doesn't manage to get a knock off of that, and those glue walls instantaneously get barricaded up. Ekal now right on top. Drogon for the play, throwing up all of those glue walls as they get melted down. Glue UAV sent out as well, just to make sure those defenses stay up a little longer.
Yeah, now RRQ, they're going to try and play that game of buying time. They do manage to break up onto that high ground, but now RRQ are the ones to jump out of the window, and now AG are the ones to be able to occupy the compound. But Du and Chinoy both have been cut down. Ekal, unfortunately, is going to be the next one to follow. Cypher going to have to be the one to try and bring this back for the team, but Chinoy's down. Cypher's still there, but it's Ma'al and Dut to keep things going for RRQ.
A smooth play there, just exiting the house at the very right moment and pulling a backstep off perfectly well. But the heat does not simmer down just yet. This time Fluxo getting into yet another entanglement. This time it is the players of WAG in their way. Tossing in those nades first towards that higher floor. Looking for the tag. Nobody gets dropped just yet. But Fluxo once more. Off-screen, Hacks gets taken down. It is Heavy going up against the Movistar superstars. X-Ball has the grenade launcher. He needs to play this timing well. Pushes it down on the ground though. The knock is there, but we don't even know who took that. Oh no, X-Ball.
Yeah, X4 is gone though. So WAG, I mean, they do manage to get the pickup, but he is very, very low. And Woodson is there. They take out two
Wow.
on the ground. They're staying with you as well. Maybe WAG can successfully defend this. MT7 still on that low ground. Oh boy, this is not the fight that Fluxo wanted. And it ends up being WAG potentially cutting down and stopping this assault coming in from Fluxo. But we have another team looking to go for the fight here. It's Heavy, but Heavy also have a casualty. It's Mufasa who's gone.
That was a phenomenal play by Tikui and Cyrus just to cut down the aggression of Fluxo, now leaving MT7 all alone. A booyah here for Fluxo is absolutely impossible. Heavy on the other hand, they don't have enough numbers as they now perhaps position themselves for a battle up against E1. Riptide Rhythm sent out, Ellen in a lot of danger, but he sends a nade straight in. Leon gets dropped. That opens up a little bit of time for him to rotate into a little bit of a safer spot. X-Ball right in front of them. They look behind as MT7 tries to squeeze into the circle.
And speaking of that circle, the circle is going to be gracing RRQ, who is safely within within the lines. Everyone else, though, however, is fighting under these compounds, knowing that if they stick their head out, they're basically at the mercy of everyone left. Vincent and Powell still on the ground here for E1. They will try to go for the pickup, but do it driving a little bit closer for RRQ. They want a little bit of this action as well. They want those eliminations. Lion on the ground for E1. And we still have two teams sharing the same compound, with Movie Stars occupying their own little compound as well. That circle though, it is slowly moving towards RRQ, and Heavy's got to move at some point because that robot head's not going to move itself.
Oh wow.
Oh boy, don't cry. Gonna go for a big wraparound, and potentially it's going to be able to go into the safety of that circle, but we still have everybody fighting in the same building.
Yep, the West is gonna just probably mess each other up in the situation. Heavy needs to find the circle. Movistar R7 says, hasta la vista, you guys deal with this on your own. Leaving Nova Legion as well as E1 spots in a fight up against each other. RRQ having Ma'al on the opposite side of the battlefield, barricade himself up within two glue walls to use that Superman. Touchdown on the ground. Ekal taken out. RRQ now only have to depend on Ma'al, who has not been spotted.
What happened? RRQ, the entire team got cut down. Incredible. I mean, Ma'al, he's going to have to hold the fort, but looks at Movistar R7 thinking about grabbing their next Bria, but they have lost access, so it's going to be a really tough call for the team. Don't cry, they're still standing strong here.
Nicely done.
Allen's on the ground. They will be able to get that pickup. But now they have to figure out a way to go up onto the high ground. Maybe a lucky snipe is what they need. Get a drop and then start to make your move. But I think at the moment, Movistar R7, they're not paying attention to the side. So don't cry, he's able to make the wrap.
Yeah, perfect placement here for the players of Heavy. The maneuver gets them into a safe spot, still avoiding a majority of the engagements. Don't Cry drops the bass. Elimination has not been taken away just yet. He does manage to secure that. Movistar R7 out of the equation, but Allen dropped down to the ground, unable to get picked up. And Nova Legion, two players, Supermets coming out. Don't Cry taking the fight straight up to them. And Ma'al, the player that stayed hidden as he tried to rotate away straight into Heavy earlier on, still undetected. This could be a surprise end. But first, in this equation, Don't Cry needs to knock down at least one player. Ma'al biding his time still.
Looks like Kuzlo and Lopez are going to have to slowly wiggle themselves forward, whereas Ma'al and Don't Cry, they have one job. They just need to down one of these players. If they tag team this, then it's going to force a 1v1 final circle. And instead, Don't Cry, love this play. Backing up, getting into a better position to potentially have better lines of sight to maybe go for this snipe. They're going to summon the monster truck. You know you're desperate when you need to hide behind that monster truck.
Smart play by Ma'al, dropping the trip mine here. Nobody walks into it just yet though. Lopez does manage to sort him out. The trip mine could still be a factor. Don't Cry finally jumps into the fight behind the glue wall and denied by Lopez Excel. What a play by Nova Legion as they secure the booyah for themselves. The first one for the squad.
First one for the squad, and it was a very patient one as well. They could have gotten overconfident and said, okay, there are two players left from, there's one player left from two teams. We could try to tag team one player down, but the fact that they took it slow, they knew they had glue walls, they had ways to increase their survivability. They decided, let's just see what happens. And the fact that they slowly crept forward, they let Don't Cry reposition. I think the repositioning for Don't Cry was the reason why Ma'al was actually the first one to be chosen to be taken down, because Ma'al, he's in an awkward spot where it's very difficult for Don't Cry to have line of sight to punish Nova Legion there. So unfortunate for Ma'al. You know, I think he would have loved it if either he or Don't Cry got the initial knock during that first little fight. But you know, sometimes things don't work out the way that you want it to. So Nova Legion, got to be happy with themselves. This team has been very consistent today, and I'm really happy that their performance has actually paid off for them with the Booyah today.
Yeah, I think they have been very impressive with the way they've been playing out there. Placement points wise, they could definitely do a little bit better, but when it comes to the eliminations, Nova Legion has been looking absolutely threatening out there on the battlefield, and you gotta love it. I think this is a very well-deserved booyah. Of course, Heavy and RRQ did come very close to the situation, but Alan, with a couple of mistakes, kept getting knocked down, couldn't give Don't Cry the backup that he needed. And I think RRQ was thinking of something more than just Ma'al repositioning himself. I think there was supposed to be a follow-up on that jump pad, but they kind of got caught out in that tense situation as well as the other two players got shut down. Ma'al was the only survivor, and he kind of survived long enough, right? I think he got an extra point for the squad, which is good enough in that situation. I mean, as the lone sniper, a miracle is what he needed. Unfortunately, it wasn't available.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of things that RQ wanted to go right. It was just, I mean, you're down to the final circle. There's only so much room to work with, and let's be real, jump pads are not reliable that late into the game because you're a sitting duck when you're flying. So, yeah, I think RQ just really made the best of the situation that they could have. But at the end of the day, Nova Legion, they identified all of their openings, their win condition, and it worked for them. But even though RQ did not get the booyah, they topped the points with 15 eliminations, bumping them up to 23 points total.
I mean, this is a great play from RRQ. They almost got the booyah here. Just to kind of go back to, their winning form once again. They started off the day with a booyah. We are expecting it again from them, and they got close enough at Purgatory. And I thought Next Era was going to be that game for the squad. Unfortunate, but the elimination shows exactly how ferocious the squad was all throughout that matchup. Nova Legion, although they do get the booyah, not enough eliminations to overtake RRQ. Heavy, very impressive. Double-digit eliminations together with the 9 placement points for a total of 19. But down at the bottom, we kind of start seeing a pattern now. Hotshots, Redcliffe, still struggling alongside EVOS Divine.
I am surprised you even have to mention EVOS Divine down there. I think that has to be probably the most shocking performance for today. Again, home ground bar, the EWC champions. It's just been a really terrible day for EVOS, unfortunately. And it's not, I'm not even going to blame Movistar's R7 for this anymore. I think the team is really just down in the dumps today, unfortunately. So if they can figure out a way to fix this for the next upcoming match, I hope they can figure it out soon, because if they're going to be bottom 6 in their group, they're in 9th position right now. I feel like this team is maybe even at risk of not even making it to top 12.
They've got the Oscar Tatsuya Kronos Kyler combo running with them this time around. And again, no hammer just yet. Team Booster and Tactical Market. They are the picks. Cluso with the Tiba, Maro, Moko. Surprisingly, he didn't bring in that Olivia as well. Mainly the guy in charge of picking up the rest of his team members. And the combo with that Chrono makes that very viable out there. We saw a couple of situations where he did pull that off successfully. But there have also been a situation where Cluso was the first player to get taken out of the situation, which is something that Nova Legion really needs to look into to make sure it doesn't happen too often. But in any case, if they do lose the guy first, the firepower out of Loki Sebastian Lopez is still pretty admirable, and obviously the sniper Lopez XL is very proficient at bringing those numbers in for the squad.
Yeah. Now, Nova Legion's stats might not be too impressive, but at the end of the day for Nova Legion, they just wanted the placements. They just wanted to pick up whatever that they could. And I think this is really good stats to reflect a team that is in survival mode, rather than trying to play like Fluxo, who is really going for those really crazy, high aggressive plays. Because, yeah, you might be thinking, where are the eliminations? They played mostly for placement points. That was really the goal for Nova Legion. Because I think they also realized if they try to play over-aggressive, they might fall victim to what Fluxo fell victim to, which was over-aggression and being punished for it.
Yeah, and of course, as we say that, it looks like a very conservative game, but overall, the squad does have the most number of eliminations in comparison to the other squads. And yeah, just those placement points coming in clutch at the very end. Thankful to the Booyah to kind of get them evened out as far as those placement points are concerned. So conservative game for sure, but it launched them up to that number 1 spot. And of course, the guy who was integral for launching them into the number 1 spot, Lopez XL, the sniper of the team, rocking the Skylar, the BSK-94 in a Moko Maro combination. Again, dropping that Raphael, walking in with the Suzy instead, just so they can earn those extra coins, make good use of the tactical market, and ensure that they do have enough utilities for a a dragged out battle all the way to the end for a possible booyah, which clearly was the case this time round.
Oh yeah, I think we saw a really good case of that paying off for the team, especially in this game. So I think now getting that booyah for Nova Legion, what's on this team potentially being a top dog? I don't think I'm fully convinced yet, because I think there are still moments where the team, they will get eliminated for either a silly reason or they just get outplayed by a better team. But what's so far on Nova Legion's performance today, AJ? Is this a team that you think has a lot of potential moving forward?
Potential? They look like they are world champs quality at this point of time. I am very impressed by what they've been able to do, and they represent LATAM in the biggest of ways. And LATAM has always been that kid that we forget about on the global stage, right? We talk about Brazil, we talk about Southeast Asia, we talk about Thailand specifically out of Southeast Asia, and LATAM's always the team that kind of interferes when the big boys are fighting. That doesn't seem to be the case this time around. Obviously, Nova Legion is out there to prove that they are not ones to be second thought anymore. They want to be on the front end of your mind, and it looks like they're going to force their way there through the points that they pick up. I'm beyond impressed with what Nova Legion is doing right now.
Well, we've got one more game to go, and I think if Nova Legions wants to set a statement for this team, grabbing a booyah for this final round would be a great way to end the day. But just a quick recap of all of our matches so far, ladies and gentlemen, in case you missed any of our games. We kicked things off the day number 1 on the Muta, and RRQ secured our first booyah of the day. Game number 2 on Kalahari, we had Movistar's R7 pick up our second booyah, followed by Heavy, who managed to pick up the Solara booyah. Then Flaxo showing themselves and grabbing their booyah on Purgatory for game number 4. We've just had game number 5 with Nova Legion grabbing the next Terra booyah, and we've got one more booyah available for our teams. It's gonna be Alpine for game number 6. It's do or die to pick up those points. If any teams are struggling to grab those points, this is your last round to do it. I think if you have any dirty strats, if you have anything hiding up your sleeve and you are struggling, you use that strat now. There is no saving strats anymore, because yeah, some of the teams, they still have another play day today, another play day tomorrow, but we also have some teams finalizing their points for this week. You do not want to regret your weekly points by ending short because you refuse to reveal your strats.
Yeah, and MT7 once again earlier on, he did mention that the other regions are trying to take the trophy away from the squad, obviously, and LATAM's clearly gunning for the trophy this time around. They no longer want to be that story of, yeah, they helped out a certain region, prevent the champion from running away with it. This time around, it's going to be them on the hustle, but with Fluxo on the highlight, we also have to remember Alpine is the map where we started off day 1 yesterday on, and it was Fluxo with the very first booyah in the competition. I will not be surprised if they show up strong once again.
Yep. Alright, so final predictions for our last game, AJ. Statistically, what teams are expected to do well for Alpine?
Well, you are definitely looking at Fluxo, who managed to grab the booyah for themselves yesterday. Heavy is really good here as well. We do have an opportunity to see E1 in that final circle, although today has been a questionable day for E1. Not as aggressive, but not too bad. They've been hanging around somewhere in the middle of the table, so maybe this is going to be that one game where they leap up into the top. So these 3 teams I'll definitely look out for.
Alright, so it looks like we are ready to fly into Alpine, ladies and gentlemen. It's our final map of the day, map number 6. We're going to wrap things up here on the very snowy mountains of Alpine. Let's see who grabs that final booyah today, if we're going to have a repeat team or if we're going to be adding a new team to the list of teams that are able to grab their booyahs. And it looks like our participating teams are flying in. We'll have a look in a second where that flight path is going to be. Is it veering off to the side, or is it going to be a dead center one? And are there going to be any hot drops? That is what I like to see. I want to see some aggression. You gotta start off strong. You gotta start off with those hot drops. And what's the map showing us? We are seeing a potential hot drop here. a potential hot drop, not 100% guaranteed, but very, very likely early skirmish for Nova Legion and AG Global.
Yeah, you called that one right. Nova Legion in a lot of trouble now because obviously AG Global wants to climb back up to the top today. They are a mid-card team, currently sitting in the 7th spot with total of 59 points. They've managed to excel on those eliminations, but they have not been able to find those final circles as frequently today. That has been the bane of AG Global within this day 2's play. But of course, Nova Legion, detecting the fact that this might just be a sticky situation. You can see the coins being transferred over because we might see a distraction and as well as an evacuation attempt here by Nova Legion. And they don't have a lot of loot on them as well. This is a very risky spot now for this LATAM squad.
Okay, so what's the play here? Oh, got a couple of shots there from Kuso. Was able to get some pretty nice shots in. And I don't know if I agree with this play coming in from AG. I mean, Cypher's got the support there from Chino, but if anything happens to this pair, that is it. They have to bail.
Yeah, it also means that Fluxo is not too far away because they just got the hit list onto Sebas. That's just a problem that Nova Legion does not need at this point of time. So Fluxo, if they're looking for extra points on this final game, they might just come rotating in. Even if AG does get the initial bout victory, Fluxo might come in and try to flush them out. But no pass! The headshot is going to give them a great big advantage here. I thought he was about to get picked up, but Lopez just said, nope, that is just not going to happen now. Floki leading the charge. Sebas on the follow-up as well. Chinoy's flank around might just get caught out here. RGS 50 on standby. Floki, Cluso, Sebas all sticking together. Chinoy in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I think Chino purposefully split from the teams, that he's able to draw them away from the rest of AG. But have a look at the map there, AG. We've got another team looking to join the fray, and it's our friendly neighborhood team. And Nova Legion, they got to hang tight, but Sebas is down. Oh man, the team is not looking too happy here. Double kill.
Redcliffe, what are you even doing here, Redcliffe? This is not the place to play. Go far away.
Party.
Yes, these boys are serious. They want some points, man. And Redcliffe just kind of stumbled into that engagement unknowingly, but yeah, they know now that they should not be going anywhere near there. He was up against hot shots. He got literally taken on the whole squad on his own. Will choose to back away this time around. Electrotherapy has been connected already, so 3 players at the minimum here. Make that 4. I do see that shot coming out as well. Mr. Rastia on the left-hand side on the flank. Hot shot about to get snuffed out.
Oh no, Haas has been caught as well, so Sajid and Haas to go down, but it's E1 to secure those eliminations. Rastia though on the sidelines has been caught, so that's going to be the sniper gone on the side of EVOS, and now I think Coach Heal now feeling that squeeze, realizing E1 is in the area as well. And oh no, Aim God, he's been caught by Pal. EVOS, the team has been cut in half. They're now down to their final 2 players. If they don't figure out a way to get one out of here somehow, again, this team is going to be starting the game crippled. Ray is gone. They're down to their final player.
Yep. EVOS in a sticky situation indeed, as they initially started off that bout up against Hotshots. Now E1 Sports hops on into the battle, looking to see if or not they can snuff out both Hotshots as well as the team that was taking them on as the third-party squad. But this one has been dragged out a little bit too long, and that gives WAG the opportunity to quickly reposition. Bitin takes the final player of Hotshots out of the equation. Therefore, the first team has been eliminated from the lobby, and it is the squad from Pakistan. But Redcliffe, on the other hand, are looking for that survivability, looking for those revivals as well, just hanging on still in this game.
Still hanging on for now, and there goes Lion. X4 looking for that trophy hunt. Going to be able to mount a lion on his wall for now. And I mean, we still have 11 teams in the lobby, AJ, so I don't think it's too much of a doom and gloom situation for a lot of our competing teams, but it is just going to show how competitive Alpine is going to be, like how desperate teams are, especially when you're trying to hunt down for those elimination points. And as you can see on the side of the screen at the moment, EVOS still struggling along, limping along with their final player, who is trying to scrape enough gold to at least buy the team back. So a struggle city there for one of our Indonesian teams, but you can see at the top, E1 They are bathing in the glory. 6 eliminations to their name. So big head start for their final game of the day. And already, Fluxo up to their old shenanigans, looking to potentially take out Nova Legion. But then again, the positioning is awkward and they're actually bailing instead. Okay, so I guess... there goes Rex.
Yeah, and they've only got one final survivor here. I don't know exactly what Redcliffe can do in a situation like this. They definitely need more time in the training room before they can take the fight to some of these giants out here. At this point of time, they are only able to just revive and look for those placement points. When it comes to the engagements, you see those knocks, you see the claim of one elimination point, and then the squad kind of just gets half snuffed out. That's not going to be good for business at all. Speaking of business, now Nova Legion up against Fluxo at the stadium. And Nova Legion does not want to go in for the full engagement. GU up against Lopez. Bobs, RGS 50 takes down the glue ball. Lopez takes Mother Nature as the defensive spot. The tree standing priest drops by. Lopez manages to sneak away, pulls up another glue ball, but Bob finds a connection with the RGS.
And the team wants so badly to bring Lopez back. Oh, but they baited Floki! Floki! He thought he could save his teammate, but he's the next one to follow. And Nova Legion, I think they are potentially at risk of being eliminated. Yeah, they still have Sebas. They still have one more player left in the game that can bring the roster back. But what a crippling start here for Nova Legion.
Yep, not eliminated from the lobby just yet, though. A recovery is still very much possible. They've left the rest of the team members back to deal with Fluxo, and Cluso is trying to run away looking for the revival. He should be able to deal with Fahim, who turns his back. Lucky Cluso did not pull out that mag 7 in that situation. Fahim would have paid a big price. Grenade now. Almost got tossed out there, but Fahim will choose to retract and play the time on his side as Cluso says, okay, maybe this bridge place is not for me. And he backs away with just 200 coins in his pocket. He needs to loot up quite a number of those coins. At least another one, so he can bring back one buddy of his.
He's running into Fluxo. I don't see... Oh, there we go. Fahim, Redcliffe ends the run there for Nova Legion. Really sad way to end the day for the team because they just got the booyah for that previous round. Someone has to take the fall, unfortunately, so...
But fun fact,
Nova Legion...
Even though they got eliminated early, just before the start of this game, they had already gotten more points than the number 1 squad of yesterday. And that really shows exactly how good Nova Legion is overall. Yes, they got eliminated from this lobby early, but they're sure as hell big contenders for both the qualifier into Clash Squad as well as the Grand Finals later on.
Oh no. Oh, it's a bit of a one-to-one there, trade. Fahim for Bobs. Bobs should be able to be picked up, and actually Rex ends up being downed as well thanks to MT7. So Fluxo should be fine. They should be able to get their teammates back. And Fahim actually gets brought back by Liku. So it's not too bad, but what in the world is happening in this compact Redcliffe?
I mean, Redcliffe, they are sneaky, man. 3 eliminations already. I'm loving this. And this is the kind of improvements that we expect out of Bangladesh right now. Liku is running for his life, granted, but this is the distraction play. He's like, you come get me, and he's trying to bring them away as far as possible so that he can put whoever who's chasing him in a little bit of a pickle to get back into the circle later on. And this is one of the best distraction plays I've seen, and a surprise that is coming out of Redcliffe. So great play here by Liku out of Bangladesh.
And they still have 2 players on the map.
Yeah.
So hopefully Redcliffe, all thanks to Liku. It's these distraction plays that can really buy time for a team to give them a way to come back into the game. Aimcott, though, not going to be too happy about this. It's a big fat target on his head. So EVOS will need to be a little careful with their movements moving forward. They're about to run into WAG. Yes, at this point in time.
Yeah, I've got a great suggestion for the Bangladeshi squads, right? They've been struggling in the competition, so I think it's time to change the strategy a little bit, right? Just instead of going in here to try to get to that final circle, looking for those booyahs, just start looking for some hot drops on some big squads and just start going all guns blazing up against them. Make a name for yourself. I mean, no better place to do that. And once you start winning out a couple of those engagements, it's going to be a huge adrenaline booster, a huge confidence booster. That's what you need on a stage like this. That's what happened to Vietnam in the past. That's what happened to teams from Indonesia, and we need to start seeing that happen for Bangladesh as well. Look at this. This is a very impressive game from Redcliffe, and I dare say they're doing much better than Red Hawks, which is a huge surprise to me. I was expecting Redcliffe to be kind of like the secondary team, and I expected to see them struggle a little bit more.
Well, they might struggle in just a second, though, because they're about to meet with Fluxo. And Fluxo currently sitting at second on our game standing leaderboard. And we know Fluxo love to play aggressive too. So I think this will be Redcliffe's biggest challenge. If they can somehow dismantle Fluxo, that's the sign. That's a sign that this team is ready to go gold. A team that is very new to the scene, but has the potential to be able to compete with our top dogs.
Yep.
And at the moment, we're just trying to see where everyone is at the moment. So WAG is in that circle. AG is playing gatekeeper at the moment. E1 flying into heavy. And these two teams are potentially going to be fighting for this compound. There is no way that these two teams don't fight for this. Because, I don't think you want to be neighbors with a team like this.
You definitely don't. But Fahim, knocked down by MT7. Redcliffe just isn't getting any luck on their side at all. And granted, you guys have to remember that just because I made those statements, it does not mean that Redcliffe is doing much better than Red Hawks. They're just performing better in terms of their rotations on the battlefield. Engagements-wise, eliminations-wise, Red Hawks is still the better squad when you compare the Bangladeshi teams up against each other. And then, of course, is going to give Red Hawks the advantage. But AG Global up against the players of Clear Vision here. Jumping in and out, Saifa. You need to control Probe as much as possible. The flank around from the back. Baros should be able to get the job done with that high ground intensity. Saifa next with the M590. Dew follows it up, taking Sharon out of the equation. Downly in trouble, but Probe catches Dew. Baros down by Downly. Unexpected. But Saifa saves the day, and Fluxo's following up this battle by tossing in those grenades, trying to catch AG off guard.
This is so awkward for AG because they are out in the blue zone, and this is the painful blue zone as well. So they need to make a decision, fight into Fluxo or just basically let them finish you off. And unfortunately for Dew, he's the first one to go down. AG pinned under the bridge. And Fluxo add so many more eliminations standing up to 12 now for Fluxo. 4 eliminations. And we are not even close to the end of the game yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And Fluxo is leading the charge here. WAG up against EVOS. Maybe this is the place where EVOS brings in a little bit of improvements to their gameplay. They've been struggling. Placement points as well as eliminations have just not been going the way of EVOS no matter what they try out there. And WAG might just be able to use EVOS as a stepping stone here. Granted, EVOS is doing slightly better than WAG right now on today's performance.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're down to our top 7 teams. And oh man, heavy! They are eliminating Redcliffe, and that's going to be it for the team. Now up to our top 6 for the round. Super unfortunate, but there's only so much space to work with. And also EVOS and WAG, they're going to be neighbors, with WAG playing on the outside of the compound, and EVOS, they're on the inside for now, but at some point they're going to have to fight into this, and this is not going to be pretty at all. It might have to come down to some of those CQC weapons. Oh, the damage! Oh, there goes EVOS! They're all gone. That was a fraction of a second, AJ.
And that's exactly how the cookie crumbles here. But now, how will the East fare up against the West? In fact, 2 of the Western squads have got Heavy trapped in a tight little spot here. Heavy's looking for the booyah. Heavy's looking for the climb up the leaderboard, but it's going to be a tough fight here. And to make things worse, even Movistar R7 on towards the right-hand side, but they have got their sight set onto WAG. X-Paw knocked down to the ground, but the recovery is here. Riptide Rhythm out of nowhere! Breaking down the defenses, WAG in a lot of trouble! And both the Western squads, Fluxo and Movistar R7, gang up on them, removing them from the lobby.
And look at who is left. It's Heavy, Fluxo, E1, and Movie Stars R7 as our remaining teams. Fluxo, they jump onto the low ground. They want to fight into Heavy, but E1 is there as well. Fluxo need to be very patient. Heavy, though, wanting to play outside of the compound. Movie Stars R7, though, shooting at Fluxo because they weren't able to breach into that compound. I think Fluxo, they have been flushed out, are completely exposed. MT7 on the ground. Puts his neck on. There goes Fluxo, E1, Movie Stars R7, and Heavy. Our last three teams to compete for our final booyah of the day.
Yeah, big brain play from Heavy there. Yes, Fluxo had the roof, but they allowed Fluxo to make that move first. And there was a big potential that E1 was going to get into an engagement with Fluxo. Heavy just did not mind because they still had that second floor dominance, pulling up those glue walls, still in a safe spot. Movistar R7 hasn't been able to find those connections up against them just yet. And E1 spots is in shooting range as well. So Movistars R7 are in trouble. If they take aim at Heavy, you will have E1 shooting at them at the very same time. And this is a huge benefit for the Vietnamese squad. And to make things worse for Movistars, the circle's moving towards E1 and Heavy.
Oh, they have to fight. They have to fight through this. This is going to be really tough. It's an econ game for this team now because if they don't have the glue walls to create that stepping stone to safely get them across, it's just going to be a shooting ground for Heavy and E1. So we'll see what they have on them because we just saw Riptide Rhythm being deployed. So that means it's not going to be available for the next few seconds. Maybe this is the sign for Movie Stars R7 to start going because this circle is slowly creeping along. But so far nobody is down. To both teams, all three teams are still hanging on. And all of a sudden, Movie Stars R7, they just shifted to a new compound. They have a rooftop to work with. So now it's back to Heavy and E1 having to decide, do we need to fight our next door neighbor or do we need to fight the neighbor on that lower ground?
Yeah, the circle's now going to end up forcing all of them in towards each other, towards an open ground battle. So there's a big probability here that Heavy's going to try to tank some of the damage from the circle whilst they recover with those medkits and, of course, put E1 spots in shooting range of Movistar R7. And then they try to shoot up against them, but this is going to be a big problem because they're going to be trying to challenge the circle and the damage from it. And look at this preemptive strike. Movistar R7 laying out those glue wall melters first, Heavy using that distraction, taking the right hand side flank, dropping all of those glue walls. Riptide Rhythm breaks down those defenses. Kabi gets caught out. But Ellen, what a name! Who's a triple with the M79 and is now Heavy up against Movistar's R7. Dalla with the flank. Joker finds Kabi first. Games King up against Don't Cry, gets a double tag, and Movistar's R7 only have two more players to deal with. Games King gets one, and that's about it as Movistars scores a booyah.
And that was Movie Stars before all of that being at the disadvantage because they were outside of a compound in that moving circle. The way they played that endgame was genius. Really, really genius. They played it very slow. They did not force anything into their opposing two teams. They found a new compound and all of a sudden they pinned their two opposing teams within their own building. The cornering was brilliant. The fact that they were able to corral them and force them through these very tight bottlenecks. Movie Stars R7. Yeah, I'm watching this team. I am watching this team moving forward.
The very first team to secure a double booyah within 1 day of play. Movistar R7, and obviously they're going to be climbing up the leaderboard quite a little bit. We expect more from this squad, but this is going to complete their run here for week number 1 as they complete their 12th game. But I would say that this is a great run for them because today was the day where they had to go all out. There was no other opportunities in week 1 because we also got to remember week 1 where you place really matters because it qualifies you into Clash Squad as well, and there's a little bit of extra money there.
Extra money, extra reputation, title. I think the cool thing that Clash Squad has introduced into the game is that we get a fresh insight into how some of these teams actually play if they're in a proper 1v1 team-wise situation. So we're very interesting to see some of these teams in that clash squad situation, but we've got to wait for them to qualify first. Okay, we're not quite there yet. We're still just the first half of our qualifying segment, but I think we are starting to get a glimpse of who is coming into World on form. Like in the World Series, there were teams that we thought were going to compete and really do well. I think half of my predictions have been right. The other half have just been completely off. And it's shocking me in a good way because we're getting new blood, new names that are starting to reveal themselves. And as viewers, it's a great thing because now you've got new people to cheer for.
A brilliant play by the West this time around. Movistar R7, Fluxo, E1 Sports taking the top 3 spots here. And of course, Movistar R7 with a double booyah in the day just to make the West a little bit more proud. Yesterday, the East won it hands down, except for the Predator of the day, which went to MT7 on Fluxo. Today, very clearly, the West has managed to sneak back the dominance to their side. And I have to say, it was so amazing to watch all of them in performance. Take a look at the performance here by Redcliffe as well. 7 points. This was one of the better rounds. And this is no jest whatsoever. Redcliffe has been struggling in these matches. To pull away decent number of eliminations has been their biggest challenge. But at least they're stepping it up game after game. We have to remember, by the end of the 2 weeks of the knockout stage, they just need to make it into the top 12. So if they keep this up, there is a probability that Redcliffe will be in the grand finals.
Yeah. So Redcliffe showing a lot of promise. Keen to see how they're going to play in their next upcoming matches. Here are the standings for today. So just based off of all of the games today, Fluxo are going to be ending the day with 100 points at the top of the leaderboard. I think this is going to give a lot of confidence to our Fluxo fans because, as we all know, our 2024 World Champions, this is the team that is here to defend their title. Yes, there are a lot of teams that are going to be fighting them for that title, but to see them looking so great already in our group standings, I think there's a chance they could be repeat champions.
Yeah, and the West literally dominating the leaderboard. Top 5 spots, 4 out of 5 by the teams from the West. And let's take a look at the Booyah team stats here. The combination of the Kronos, Skylar, A124, that's Suya. And this seems to be quite a staple here for some of these Western squads. Once again, double tactical market and a double team booster there as well. The team boosters just to boost up the health as well as the regeneration capabilities. The shields on the Russia's side and the tactical market for the backup players as well as the bomber, just to make sure they are well equipped with those utilities.
Yep. And you can see through the damage distribution for the team as well. I mean, obviously we have Joker as our MVP doing most of the damage, but you can see the team, it's maybe the numbers don't reflect it as well, but in the game you can really see the team bounce off of each other so well. The coordination when it comes to targeting and also deciding when to use their utilities, it has been a real treat to really watch this team thrive today. Like, I think today they absolutely thrived for Movistar's R7. I hope we get to see some more of this team in the future, an evolution where they take it to the next step, because I feel like Movistar's R7, their play style, I feel like this could counter some of the Thai teams. And that's a very exciting prospect, because all of a sudden it's no longer a case of like, oh, it's a domination of the Thai team. No, because Movistar's R7 exists.
I mean, yeah, I think the Western squads, not just Movistar R7, are definitely giving the Eastern squads a run for their money. And when I say the East, you know, I mean, I think Thailand's long forgotten already as the dominators of Free Fire. Indonesia has joined the fray together with them as well, and it's the home ground buff that I'm looking to really beef up some of the performances here for the Indonesian teams, very specifically RRQ and EVOS. But for some reason, EVOS just not showing us the fire that we saw at EWC, and this is a tad bit unfortunate, right? It seems like they've lost that zest for victory. Maybe they were all gunning for the big prize, that #1 spot on the global stage. After getting there, they felt like, yeah, all right, that's about it. We expected a little bit more from this. And they're just not as heated to continue getting another one for themselves, which surprises me because the prize pool that's set aside for the competition is massive. If it was me, I'll be super motivated.
Yeah, I think to be fair, this was EVOS's first play day, so they do have a little bit of a buffer, I suppose, to have a bad play day. But tomorrow, they can't. I do not want to see today's EVOS tomorrow as well. I would like to see this team look a little bit more polished because, today, I mean, I put EVOS as one of my predictions because I thought this team had the potential to be consistent, and even if they don't finish at the top of the leaderboard all the time, at least, in the middle, grab some points, play some points, that would be great. But it just, today wasn't their day.
Yeah, and the only thing that EVOS can tell themselves to make themselves feel a little better is, they're not too far away from Buriram, who are also struggling in the competition. So it's not just them from the East, big names that are struggling out there. Even the two-time world champs, Buriram, seem to be losing a little bit of, clutch gameplay and strategies out there that they can kind of execute. But of course, we've got the Room of Treasure interview coming up for you guys as well. Let's see exactly what we've got from the players this time round. And of course, we'll be back with you guys in a little bit. Make sure you don't go anywhere. It's not the end of the show just yet.
Thank you, casters, survivors. We are now back in a room of pressure, but this time I'm here with Sebas from Nova Legion. Hi! Let's have a bit of a conversation, shall we? So as we all can see on the room of pressure, as we all know, this is your very first international tournament. How do you cope with nerves and the pressure, obviously?
Sebas, en ese torneo internacional, ¿cómo lidias tú con los nervios y la presión?
Pues yo literalmente, generalmente los de PvP o en los torneos nunca tengo nervios ni nada de eso. No sufro de eso.
I literally never have nerves on tournament days.
Oh my god, it is so amazing to hear. Okay, so as we can see on the comments that the netizen has been writing for pretty much all of the LATAM team, they say that Brazil is so much stronger than LATAM. Even Southeast Asia is stronger, and LATAM is just here as fillers. Is there anything you'd like to say regarding that comments, especially after today's performance?
Los comentarios constantemente mencionan que la TAM es peor que Brasil e incluso que el sureste asiático y que están aquí como equipos de relleno. ¿Qué tienes para decirle a esos comentarios?
Pues que se está viendo ahora con lo que está jugando LATAM y pues que se agarren porque vamos a seguir así.
Well, you can now see what LATAM is truly bringing to the table and get ready because we're going to keep on playing like that.
Oh my god, I'm loving his answer so far. He truly shows what LATAM is here to do. Okay, next question. Both R7 and Nova Legions are doing really, really well. Do you think this would be something that we would be seeing consistently throughout the next couple of weeks?
Tanto RZ como Nova Legion lo están haciendo de manera excelente. ¿Crees que esto es algo que vayamos a ver constantemente en estas 2 semanas?
Yo creo que sí, porque venimos muy preparados para este momento y pues yo creo que sí, últimamente estamos muy bien preparados y yo creo que vamos a estar muy constantes estas 2 semanas que nos quedan y mañana, y yo creo que sí.
I think so. We've prepared ourselves to be consistent like this. You're going to continue seeing this consistency tomorrow and the next week.
Can't wait to see that. Thank you so much, Sebas. Good luck. And let's go back to the casters, shall we? Take it away, casters.
Sebas literally has got ice in his veins, man, but the guy who has got absolute predator genes in him is Bobs, and 2 days in a row, Fluxo has managed to squeeze in one of their players as the best predator. This time, not just Bobs, Butchison joins him as well. This was a massive day for the Fluxo squad. Nova Legion joining them as well in their second place. 19 eliminations from Mr. Floki. Heavy as well as R7 do have some representatives in here as well. Alan and Joker with 18 apiece.
Yeah, so Fluxo, they're not here for show. They are here to play. They are here to defend their title. And I think if I'm some of the other teams there that are trying to steal that title away, I'd be feeling threatened just based off of the form that Fluxo is currently showing in their first 2 play. We just had 2 days. And Fluxo is looking this great already. And based off of the numbers too, right? Like Bops, he's out damaged everyone. He's out eliminated everyone as well. And we also have to remember too, complements the Fluxo play style so well because they have this very interesting combination of A124 and Steffi with I think it's Bops and Giu rushing in together. I love that play style. That's working so well for the team.
and an extra $1,000 for being the team of the day. Managing to hit the 100-point mark. Yesterday, Fluxo performed well. Today, they blew the competition out of the park. 1 booyah in total, 60 eliminations. That is just ridiculous. No wonder they had 2 players up there on the Predator of the Day board. This is what you gotta do if you want to dominate the competition. This is what you gotta do if you want to get into the grand finals as one of the favorites to run away with it. The reigning defending champions showing that they've got more than it takes to keep the trophy in Brazil.
Yeah, and our MVP of the day is none other than Bobs. I think this makes absolute sense. He has popped off today. World champion energy coming from Fluxo. Not just from Fluxo, but also every single player on this team. They've been so fun to watch today. And even yesterday's games as well. If you guys missed out on our matches from day number 1, or maybe even some of the matches from today as well, go back and watch the VODs. Keep an eye on Fluxo because they are just looking so good coming into the Free Fire World Series finals. There's a very good chance we could be getting repeat champions with this team, but again, it's just our first 2 play days. We really don't know what's going to be happening until the tournament continues to progress, but I have high hopes for Fluxo at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. And of course, we do have to acknowledge the Alvaro and Beaston combination as well. Who can forget that Bobs is one of the best grenadiers out there currently in peak performance. And we would like to see more from him for sure. We've got a little bit of an interview coming up for you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, your team of the day, Fluxo from Brazil. Congratulations, guys. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our interview session. This is me, Yunso, and our host, Conchita, and of course, cannot miss our Caro Bombshell.
Hello.
All right, then, so congratulations. So let's talk about that booyah right now. What was the call that made it happen and pushed you guys to be here?
Ela quer saber qual que foi a cal que fez vocês serem campeões e qual que é a motivação de vocês conseguirem ser o melhor time do dia.
Acho que foi... A gente conversou bastante sobre o dia de ontem, os erros, e estudamos e viemos preparados para hoje com bastante confiança e fizemos dar certo.
We definitely got a lot of confidence. We talk a lot about that before we get here on stage, and yes, we team up, and we have definitely a lot of confidence to be here today.
Yes, confidence is a key, right? Thank you, Buchisin. So, Bobs, I think other teams are watching you right now. Everyone is watching Fluxo, I think so. Do you feel worried and you have anything you want to send to them?
Provavelmente muitos times estão assistindo vocês agora, eles estão definitivamente estudando vocês também. Você tem alguma mensagem ou você se sente pressionado por algum deles?
A mensagem acho que é passada jogando, né? Então estamos jogando e a mensagem tá aí. Eles assistem, vem nós tendo a melhor equipe hoje, quase sendo a melhor equipe ontem. Estamos preparados, estamos vindo ser campeões.
So the best message that we can send is playing. So they are watching our playing, and we were the best team of the day today. We were almost the best team of the day yesterday. So we don't have any message to send because they are watching us playing. That's the best message that we can send to them.
Oh, very mysterious, right, Conchita?
Yes, indeed. And speaking of team of the day, I'm curious, how do you guys think of the competition this year? Do you think the team overall is much stronger or just the same?
Vocês acham que os outros times são mais fortes que vocês ou são do mesmo jeito, talvez?
Não, acho que ninguém é mais forte que a gente, não. Nós somos os mais fortes e é isso, vamos provar jogando mais uma vez.
Nobody is stronger than us. We are the strongest here, and we are proving that playing.
Oh my God, that is such a strong statement, but I can see the confidence in Fluxo indeed today. So congratulations once again on being team of the day and for giving such an amazing performance. Let's go back to the casters now. Take it away, casters.
Our current world champions smiling ear to ear after finishing their first 2 play days in an extraordinary fashion, sitting in second place yesterday and first place today. So this team, they're ready to go. We're not quite at the grand finals yet, but I mean, they are holding the gates firmly in their groups. And I think now the question everyone has is there anyone out there that can currently compete with them? Because they've basically played everyone already. And so far, we are seeing a couple of teams give them a really good fight for their money, but there's no one out there that has been able to consistently shut them down. So this team looking really, really scary, AJ, but I mean, what's next really for the rest of our competitors, you know? Like, obviously, everyone's chasing that world champion title. What can teams really do to get ready to fight Fluxo for that title?
Well, tomorrow is that one final opportunity for them to pick up those points first, because before they look at the grand finals potential, they need to complete the 2 weeks of this knockout stage. Yes, teams like Fluxo might have been able to reach up to the top, but they've completed all 6 games. And some of the other teams here that are still struggling at the bottom will have a decent chance tomorrow to stake a claim for those points yet again. We're definitely looking down at the bottom. Hotshots Esports, Pakistan as well as Bangladesh has been struggling. Tomorrow is going to be a good day for them to make the climb up to the top, because you got to sneak into a minimum top 8 if you really want to smile big.
Yeah, good top 8. Otherwise, ultimately, the goal really is top 12 for the overall standings. So, gotta work hard for those points, folks, because we are already reaching the halfway point for some of these teams, and you really can't leave it down to fate. You can't leave it to your competitors. You need to put your fate into your own hands, which means lots and lots of fights. Hot drops. I'm expecting a bunch of hot drops tomorrow. I'm expecting a lot of skirmishes tomorrow. I do not expect any passivity at all, because we are at the world stage. The best teams from around the world have come together, and there's only so much you can do leading into those grand finals. So lots to look forward to, AJ. But tomorrow, I think, is going to be statement day for some of these teams. Can they compete with Fluxo?
Yeah, I've honestly been looking at it as a statement day on a day-to-day basis, because there's a lot to prove out there, and it is not a stretched-out marathon as far as the knockout stage is concerned. But I do agree with you, tomorrow, as far as week 1 is concerned, as far as the qualification for Clash Squad is concerned, it is definitely going to be D-Day for some of these squads. They really need to hustle. They need to bring out their very best to make sure they squeeze themselves in to qualify for that play. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that brings us to the end of the day for day 2 here on week 1 of the knockout stage. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, survivors of all ages, you take care. But tomorrow, same time, same place, we'll catch you there, and keep rocking.